banks, and Samunti is also extending the credit financing facility support for the farmers. So it's not the big farmers or the mid and served of 3, 6, 9, 12 months EMI.
As a startup, when you're talking about renewable energy, it could be solar, wind, it could biogas. As
Correct.
you're talking, it's a different sectors, right?
Correct.
How do you bring the expertise? I mean, how are you tying up with whom are you tying up with?
Correct.
Do you have strategic partners who give you all that know-how?
So I have been in this industry for 10 years, post my MBA in agribusiness from Symbiosis, and having worked with various organizations in the AgTech and the social impact space, I myself have built 3 startups for other founders. So considering that market, I have worked on ground. I know the challenges which comes up. So a manufacturer or an innovator, any innovator, the major challenge he suffers is to get the final consumer for his innovation. So the last mile consumer is not I might be an innovator, but I'm not good at bringing this product to the village level, and that's where agriculture roles comes in. So if you are an innovator of a solar dryer, or if you are an innovator of a solar DC fan, agriculture will take this product to the farmer, educate about the benefits, and sell and finance and install. So the end-to-end service, is our USP, which so expertise.
An inventor, of agri product can concentrate on
correct on technology and innovation.
Technology and
yes,
then
yes.
leave the rest
So because what happens is when you are a technology innovator, your focus is on a tech. So when you talk about your product to the farmers, you're only talking about tech. How the ROI comes in terms of the tech, or how it's commercially benefits for the farmer, nobody is talking about, and that's where our roles in. So expertise, when you talk about, we all our organization are having mostly women employees who comes with a background of BSc agriculture, MBA agribusiness background. My co-founder Shobha Chanchlani is bringing 33 years of working experience with Government of India. This is a second innings. So what we are trying to do is we have a partnership agreement with all the innovators, manufacturer companies, where we protect the interests of the farmers and also for the partner. And what we do is you take care of the technology and the product. We take care of its the selling, delivery, installation part, where you have a hassle-free supply to us, and farmer also gets your product. And we promote the brand because we don't want to coincide or overlap the brand, because we want to promote these innovators in India, because India is land of innovation. Lots of innovation will come and go, but the good quality innovation has to reach to the last mile consumer.
Only then it makes sense. Right?
Yes.
So I have this book of yours, which is a product
Catalog.
I see multiple products.
Correct.
Tell us about the product range you have, and
Yes.
what kind of segments or sectors does it cater to?
So we started our journey with solar biogas, and since green energy was evolving, so we thought, why not we contribute to build the green infrastructure in the rural periphery. So our renewable energy stores were gaining interest of electric two-wheelers, electric tractors. So we got tied up with companies like Celestial E-Mobility in the beginning, and we brought two-wheelers, electric tillers like Krishi Gati, who is also an innovator. So we are also bringing green energy product range to our RE stores, where our RE stores can become an electric charging point for these rural farmers who can buy two-wheelers, electric two-wheelers or electric tractor tillers to charge and buy the products as well. If you talk about the solar range, we have range of solar products. We have solar sprayers, which came as an innovator from Auto Studio from Selco. We have solar inverter, we have solar water pumps, we have lots of range of products, solar dryers from Rudra and Raheja. So lots of innovations. Biogas, we have flexible digesters coming in from Kisan Gas. So lots of innovations we are bringing as a range, but we check these products, verify them that it is going to increase the savings and income for the farmer, because that's our major vision as a climate action social enterprise. Also, it should abate some GHG CO2 emissions, so that when we talk about our impact to anybody, we can say as a nation we have contributed to the global climate action movement in terms of abatement also, not just increasing the savings and income. We are also trying a new range of organic fertilizer or organic range of products which are useful for the farmers, such as EF polymer, hydrogel, and we are also bringing AgTech innovations such as soil testing devices, drones, which can be useful for any renewable energy store who is a rural retailer, small, making these products available at the village level, because rural retailer wants to diversify their product portfolio with a minimal investment. So if you are able to project 200 plus products, 35 plus partners with a minimal investment by becoming an agribusiness renewable energy store, it's a very good proposition for a rural retailer. And the villages or the farmers, they get access to multiple product range, which is more important.
True to your tagline, which is empowering the farmer
Correct.
for tomorrow.
Correct.
So all these basically lead towards that.
Yes.
So one of the important questions, I'm sure investors who are listening
Yes.
to this
Yes.
would want to know, What's the revenues you're doing right now?
So we did 18 lakhs in our first year, and we did 70 lakhs in our second year. We are eyeing crossing 1 CR this year. So we have already crossed 1 CR of turnover. We have raised some funding through Startup India Seed Fund from Government of India support. We are a purely homegrown startup company with support of Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, and incubators such as Idea Naam gave us wings to expand our operations in the region, where we can give access to the farmers and rural retailers to make them renewable energy stores. So we stand at a certain valuation, but we still yet to complete our ask, and we are in touch with investors to raise our funding rounds, and we look forward to grow our wings and make India Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Thank you, Vimal. Thank you very much, and wishing you more power so you can empower more farmers for tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to the Founder Talk Show. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. I'm at the A-IDEA ICAR NAM campus, which is supported by NABARD. We are here for the Agri Udan 5.0 Food and Agri Business Accelerator Program. I have with me Karthik, who is the founder of Anitra. Karthik, welcome to the show.
Pleasure, my name.
So, Karthik, Anitra, what is Anitra? And Anitra ఏం చేస్తుంది? What is it all about?
Anitra is nothing but animal trading or animal traceability. It's a short form. The meaning of Anitra is graceful. మనకు తెలుగులో చూస్తే లక్ష్మి. So what exactly we do is we are a e-marketplace for livestock. Most of our competitors are classifiers, but we are more a marketplace like an Amazon kind of a thing. We are more a farmer centric. We help farmers to monetize their asset and help them to trade at their doorstep. Ease of trading మీద
అంటే మీ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ మీద ఆన్ యువర్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్
Sir.
మనం బర్రెలు కానీ మేకలు కానీ ఇవన్నీ కొనుక్కోవచ్చు
కొనుక్కోవచ్చు,
అమ్ముకోవచ్చు అంటే ఫర్ ఫార్మర్స్ అండ్ ఫర్
Correct, sir. Correct,
ఎండ్
sir.
యూజర్స్
Correct,
బై అండ్ సెల్ లైఫ్ స్టాక్ అంతే కదా.
అదే కాకుండా సార్ జనరల్గా మీరు చూస్తే ఎవ్రీ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్లో చాలా ట్రేడింగ్ అవుతుంది సార్. కానీ మనకి ట్రేడింగ్ అయితే 2 సోర్సెస్, ఒకటేమో త్రూ మిడిల్ మ్యాన్ అండ్ వన్ ఇస్ ద శాండీ. రెండు ప్లేసెస్లో కూడా మీరు చూస్తే ఎక్స్ప్లాయిటేషన్ చాలా హై ఉంది సార్, అండ్ ఫార్మర్స్ ఆర్ లూజింగ్ దేర్ ఇన్కమ్. సో ఇప్పుడు 30% కమిషన్ ఇదంతా మేము కట్ షార్ట్ చేసి వాళ్ళకి ఈజ్ ఆఫ్ ట్రేడింగ్ చేయడంతో పాటు వాళ్ళ దగ్గర ఉన్న క్యాటిల్ని మేము ఒక ఆధార్ కార్డ్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఒక క్యాటిల్కి వీఆర్ మేకింగ్ దెమ్ టు మానిటైజ్ దర్ అసెట్. సో మానిటైజేషన్ అయినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే ఆ వాల్యూ ఆఫ్ ద క్యాటిల్ ఆర్ వాల్యూ ఆఫ్ షీప్ అండ్ గోట్ ఇంక్రీజెస్ బై 5 to 10%. అదేంటి అంటే ఆ ట్రేసబిలిటీ అని ఎప్పుడైతే మనము వీ కీప్ ఆన్ కలెక్టింగ్ ద డేటా ఎవ్రీ 15 days ఆర్ ఎవ్రీ 30 days, ఆ ట్రేసబిలిటీ డేటా వల్ల అన్ఆర్గనైజ్డ్ యానిమల్ని ఆర్గనైజ్ ఫామ్లోకి తెచ్చినప్పుడు ఆర్గనైజ్ ప్లేయర్స్ రెడీ టు బై అట్ ద హయ్యర్ కాస్ట్. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇన్ అ వే హెల్పింగ్ ద ఆర్గనైజేషన్, ఇన్ అ వే హెల్పింగ్ ద farmers to grow. So that is what we do, sir.
So, I mean, personal experience is
Sir.
I bought a cow a couple
Sir.
of years back
Sir.
and I didn't know what was the age of the cow.
Correct, sir.
And I had no idea what is the
Correct,
health
sir.
condition.
Correct,
It's only after buying it
Correct, sir.
I realized, అంటే నాకు తెలిసింది ఏంటంటే ఇట్స్ అన్ ఓల్డ్ కౌ.
Yes, sir.
ఓకే
అంటే మనకి పాతకాలంలో చూస్తే టీత్ కౌంట్ ఇవన్నీ చూస్ చేస్తారు సార్.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు మా అర్బన్ ఇండియాలో ఉంటాం, సిటీస్లో ఉంటాం.
Sir.
సో పీపుల్ లైక్ us who are urban, who live in the cities,
Sir.
we have no idea of how to
Correct,
find
sir.
these
Correct,
things, right?
sir. Correct.
So do you also provide that kind of support through your
Yes, sir. We collect each and every granular detail of the livestock from the farmer. సో మా నెట్వర్క్ ఫార్మర్స్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి ఎవ్రీ 15 days యానిమల్ డేటా అప్డేట్ చేయడం ఇవన్నీ చేస్తుంది. అండ్ బర్తే కాదు సార్, లైఫ్ హిస్టరీ, డిజీజ్ హిస్టరీ, దానికి ఏమైనా వ్యాక్సినేషన్స్ అయ్యాయా, ఏఐ ఏమైనా అయిందా, ప్రతి డేటా వీ క్యాప్చర్ ఇట్ సార్. అండ్ ముందు ట్యాగ్స్ వాడేవాళ్ళం సార్ ఒక యూనిక్ ఐడెంటిటీ కోసం. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఇన్ హౌసే వీ హ్యావ్ డెవలపింగ్ అవర్ మూజల్ రీడర్ యాజ్ వెల్. మనకి ఎలా అయితే ఫింగర్ ప్రింట్స్ ఎలా అయితే చూస్తాం
యూనిక్ ఉంటుంది.
సో ఎవ్రీ కౌకి దాని మూజల్ అదంటే దాని మూతి యూనిక్ ఉంటుంది సార్. సో మనం దాని క్యాటిల్ ముందటికెళ్ళి జస్ట్ మనం కెమెరాతో ఇట్లా చూడంగానే అది ఏ క్యాటిల్ ఏంటి అనేది మనకు స్పెసిఫిక్గా తెలిసిపోతుంది అనమాట. ఎంత ఏజ్, దాని ఏం బ్రీడింగ్, ఎన్ని మిల్క్ ఇస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు చాలామంది ఏంటంటే సంతకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు అమ్ముకున్నప్పుడు 10 లీటర్లు ఇస్తుంది, 12 లీటర్స్ ఇస్తుంది, కానీ మనం తెచ్చుకున్నప్పుడు 8 లీటర్లు ఇస్తుంది. అది మనకు తెలియదు చాలా మటుకు. వాళ్ళు అప్పుడు అమ్మేటప్పుడు మనకు తెలియదు. దానికి చాలా సైన్స్ ఉంటుంది సార్ బ్యాక్ ఎండ్, అంటే పర్సన్ మారడం వల్ల లేకపోతే ఫుడ్ చేంజ్ వల్ల. సో అవన్నీ కూడా మనం కరెక్ట్ కరెక్ట్గా స్ట్రీమ్ లైన్ చేస్తూ వస్తే కొనేవాడికి లాభము, అమ్మేటోడికి కూడా ఒక
కరెక్ట్ ప్రైస్ దొరుకుతుంది. అంటే వాట్ ఈస్ ద రైట్ ప్రైస్, ఫేర్ ప్రైస్ ఫర్ ద.
అండ్ ప్రైజింగ్ వైజ్ కూడా చూస్తే సార్, జనరల్గా మనము బయట మార్కెట్స్లో ఎక్కడైనా చూస్తే ఒక గుడ్డి గుర్తు, అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక కవ్వు ఉంది, 7,000 రూపీస్ పర్ లీటర్, ఎన్ని లీటర్స్ ఇస్తే అంత కాస్ట్. దేశీ ఉంది, దానికి ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ రేట్, దాని మీద ఒక ప్రీమియం రేట్. సో మనం అనిత్రా దగ్గర ఏమవుతుందంటే వీ హ్యావ్ అవర్ ఓన్ ఏఐ ప్రైస్ మెకానిజం సిస్టమ్, వేర్ యాజ్ మనకి ఈ ఏజ్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఇవ్వడం వల్ల కంప్యూటర్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ విల్ జనరేట్ అ ఫేర్ ప్రైస్ టు ద ఫార్మర్ అండ్ యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ అ బయర్. ఇది ఏంటంటే ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ ఎకోసిస్టమ్ కన్నా కొంచెం బెటర్ ప్రైజింగే ఇస్తుంది. సో ఫార్మర్స్కి బెనిఫిట్ సార్, అండ్ బయర్కి కూడా అష్యూర్డ్ ఏం యానిమల్ కొంటున్నాను, అసలు దానికి హిస్టరీ ఏంది అనేది ఒక క్లారిటీ వస్తుంది. దానివల్ల ఓవరాల్ ఎకోసిస్టమ్ డెవలప్ అవుతుంది సార్.
సో హౌ ఆర్ యూ రీచింగ్ అవుట్ టు ది ఫార్మర్స్ అండ్ బయర్స్, హౌ ఆర్ యూ డూయింగ్ దట్? అంటే ఎందుకంటే ఆన్ ద వన్ సైడ్ విలేజ్కి వెళ్ళి చెప్పాలి ఇది ఉంది, ఇది వాడండి అని, ఇతర వాడండి ప్లాట్ఫామ్. Similarly, end user like me who wants to buy a cattle, how do you reach me? What are you doing right now?
Right now sir, as I said, నేను ముందు ఫుడ్ ప్రాసెసింగ్ కన్సల్టెంట్ కింద వర్క్ చేసేవాడిని సార్. సో మెనీ డైరీ ఫార్మ్స్, అబటర్స్, ఐ హ్యావ్ డైరెక్ట్ గుడ్ కనెక్షన్స్ వాళ్ళ అక్కడి నుంచే ఐ కుడ్ సీ వాట్ వాజ్ అ ప్రాబ్లమ్ విచ్ వాజ్ హ్యాపెనింగ్, అండ్ ఇంకా కిందికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు వాట్ వాజ్ అ ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఫార్మర్ ఫేసింగ్ అనేది చూస్తూ వచ్చాను. సో ఇక్కడ ఏమైందంటే బయర్ సైడ్ వాళ్ళు క్లియర్ ఉన్నారు సార్, ఆర్గనైజ్డ్ యానిమల్స్ ఇస్తే లేదా సర్టిఫైడ్ యానిమల్స్ ఇస్తే ఐకార్ ప్రకారంగా దే ఆర్ రెడీ టు బై. సో ఫార్మర్స్ దగ్గర ఆ ఎకోసిస్టమ్ లేదు. మేము ఏం చేసామంటే ఇప్పుడు every district has nearly 2,500 crores to 3,000 crores of trading per annum sir. If you see 9.5 lakh crore business sir,
only in livestock.
Only in livestock. India's livestock business is 9.5 lakh crore business sir. If you see only Telugu speaking states, 35,000 crores and 42,000 crores Andhra Pradesh. So that's a very huge business. So manaku మొత్తం ఇండియా అంతా ట్యాప్ చేయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు సార్. 550 డిస్ట్రిక్ట్స్లో ఓవరాల్ మన ఇండియాలో ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు డూ ప్రాపర్ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ ఇన్ స్ట్రీమ్ లైన్ ఫ్యాషన్ ఇన్ 10 districts to 15 districts, you will be a unicorn. That kind of a business is there. And more than unicorn sir, you should think on what service you are giving to the farmer.
So how will you reach them?
ఫార్మర్స్ దగ్గర కదా సార్. సో ఇప్పుడు మా దగ్గర ఏంటంటే వీ హ్యావ్ క్రియేటెడ్ అ నెట్వర్క్ విత్ ఎన్జిఓస్ అండ్ ఎఫ్పిఓస్ సార్. సో దే ఆర్ ద లాస్ట్ మైల్ కనెక్ట్ టు అవర్ ఫార్మర్స్. అండ్ మేము ఇనిషియల్గా వెళ్ళినప్పుడు ఫార్మర్స్ మమ్మల్ని ఏ ఫార్మర్ కూడా బిలీవ్ చేయడు. 100 people have cheated me, you are the 105 guy, you are coming to cheat me. సో ఆ షాకిల్ బ్రేక్ చేయడానికి మాకు చాలా టైం పట్టింది. సో ఎప్పుడైతే ఎన్జిఓస్ త్రూ అప్రోచ్ అయినామో ఈ స్లోలీ వాళ్ళు ఒకరు ఇద్దరు ట్రేడ్ చేయడం స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారు. అండ్ ఒకరు ఇద్దరు వెన్ దే గాట్ దట్ ప్రాఫిట్, గుడ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అండ్ వెన్ దే గాట్ దట్ ప్రాఫిట్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ 500 అయినా 1000 అయినా వెన్ దే ఆర్ గెటింగ్ దట్ ప్రాఫిట్, వాళ్ళే ఆ ఊర్లలో మార్కెటింగ్ చేస్తున్నారు. సంత వరకు వెళ్ళే అవసరం లేదు, యూ క్యాన్ మన ఇంటి దగ్గరకే వచ్చి ట్రేడ్ చేస్తున్నాడు, కొంటున్నాడు అనే పాయింట్లోకి వాళ్ళు వచ్చారు. అండ్ ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే సార్, సంత వారానికి ఒకటే రోజు ఉంటుంది. ఇక్కడ 24/7 ఎప్పుడంటే అప్పుడు కొనొచ్చు, ఎప్పుడంటే అప్పుడు అమ్మచ్చు. ఫార్మర్ పోని నా దగ్గర అమ్మాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు సార్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అట్లీస్ట్ ఆయనకి ఏం వాల్యూ వస్తుంది క్యాటిల్ మీద అనేది ఆయనకు తెలుస్తుంది. సంతకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు కూడా మిడిల్ మ్యాన్ దగ్గర చెప్పగలుగుతాడు, అరే అనిత్రా వాడు ఇంత ఇస్తున్నాడు, మీరు ఇంత ఇస్తారా లేదా, మీరు ఇవ్వకపోతే నేను ఇతనికి అమ్ముకుంటా.
Taxi, same thing here.
But ఏంటంటే క్లాసిఫైయర్స్ మోడల్ మన దగ్గర నడవదు సార్. ఏదంటే ఫోటో ఉట్టి చూపెడితే కొంటా అంటే ఎవడు కొనడు. సో ఎప్పుడైతే మనము ప్రాపర్గా దాని డేటా అంతా క్లియర్గా పెట్టుకొని అది ఎప్పటికప్పుడు అప్డేట్ చేస్తూ పోతూ ఉంటే ఆ వాల్యూ కూడా క్రియేట్ అయినప్పుడు ఫార్మర్కి కూడా అమ్మినప్పుడు బెనిఫిట్ అవుతుంది సార్.
సో how old is the company and what is the revenues you have done so far?
We have incorporated in December 2018 sir. We had a very slow start, but right now we are in a good pace. Right now we have done nearly 8 crores of GBT. In the last financial year itself we have done 5 crores of GBT, and we have a very strong team sir, strong mentors and strong team as well.
And in how many districts are you present currently?
Right now we are doing in 3 districts sir.
3 districts. And what is your plan for the year for this 2023? I mean, how many districts will
sir, probably by 18 months we will be completely tapping Telangana sir, and we will be tapping 3 to 4 districts in Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh as well sir.
Thank you Karthik, thank you very much, and wishing you all the very best.
Pleasure mine sir.
And I'm definitely going to watch for my next cow purchase. I'm going to look at Anitra.
Great sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much sir. Thank you.
currently undergoing testing at CCMB and CDFD. Yeah, so we've been able to raise quite an amount of funding in the last 1 year thanks to the support that we have received from CCMB. We will take roughly about 3 to 6 months to hit the market. And yeah, we've received a lot of support from AIC CCMB in terms of setting up the data contract. As you understand, our platform requires a lot of data to be able to test it across a wide range of diseases. And we've received support not only on the data front, but also from domain front. We have a lot of CCMB scientists and clinical geneticists who are actually testing our platform. Yes, in fact, our initial framework that we developed, we presented in the prestigious data science conference in India, and our entry was won the best demo award at that particular platform. Yeah. We have raised close to 1.5 crores from multiple areas. The mighty DST grant, and then there was a angel fund also that we raised. We also raised the NSTEDB grant. We are looking for another round of close to 1 or 2 crores to go further until we hit the commercial stage. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Founder Talk Show. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. I'm at the AIDEA ICAR NAM campus, which is supported by the NABARD. We are here to cover the Agri Udan 5.0 accelerator program. I have with me Parag Ghosh, who's the founder of Auspice. Parag, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the name. It's a combination, right? So what does it stand for?
All our employees are persons with autism. So the AU in the name signifies their effort, their dedication, and the spice is obvious.
Spice.
Yeah. So that's Auspice.
Well, interesting. I was, reading, here, and it says it's social innovation for food. And obviously, it is all your employees are, people with autism. It requires a lot of courage as an entrepreneur to say, I will hire all my staff, people who would need, special care to get the work done, not just their lives, but also to work for you. So, the mind, what was the idea behind? How did this all come about?
It takes courage, you're right. But once you're into the game, you understand them and you understand their feelings, their ambitions, it's no longer very difficult. It doesn't seem, And to tell you about why we are doing it this way, in the United States, where they have better data collection and reporting, 1 in 44 child is born autistic. And another report that was tabled in the British Parliament, 86% unemployment among adults with autism, which is virtually saying that this is just an unemployed community. But it shouldn't be that way. So in India,
And are there any data in India?
In India, the autism was recognized as a disability in 2016 under the People with Disability Act. But since then, there has been no census, maybe due to corona or other reasons. So we don't have a practical estimate of how prevalent it is. But if you take the data from where they know what they are collecting, that rate is likely to prevail in India as well. So it's a problem which is we are not aware of it. Maybe it's not a center stage discussion, but it's there.
And an organization like you are coming forward and saying, no, we need to address this issue, right?
Yeah. So we are addressing this issue by one engaging in their skill development, and second employment. So our skill development trainings range between 3 weeks to 6 months, and it depends on a person's learning abilities. So, and all of them are going to be Auspice employees once they complete the training. And as an organization, we don't have an interview process. We don't judge you for what you
Obviously,
are.
yeah.
No, that's not very obvious, but whoever you are, whatever your skills are or whatever skills are missing, it doesn't matter. As long as you are willing to do something, we have a place for you. So that spirit leads to a very.
So you're more about the spirit of the person
Huh.
and the skill the person brings, right? So tell us about the type of products you do. I see a range of products here.
Yes, we actually do 75 different variants. So not as many spices as you can count. If I ask you by name.
Yeah.
So 75 different variants across 5 product lines. So we do herbs and seasonings. You have something here, like this one.
The rosemary, yeah.
The rosemary. These are naturally dried.
Okay.
So we don't use any power or anything. Then you have seasonings. So you have 20 different variants of this. And you have whole spices.
Hot spices.
And
And then I see that you also have blended spices.
blended
and powdered
spices.
as well, yes.
Right.
Perfect. And when it comes to obviously ultimately it has to go to
To the consumer.
To the consumer. How do you go about doing it? Is it B2C or is it B2B?
It's almost D2C.
D2C. Okay.
Yeah.
D2C, okay.
So most of our products are sold by word of mouth. So by end of month, whatever we produce is gone. That's a very happy situation to be in.
But then the question comes is scale.
The scale will be achieved in, say, by a mix of replicating this model for a new city, new district, new town, and we try to do the same there.
There also, there also you need you plan to have the same
Yes.
autism's.
Yes,
as
we want to set up 100 such centers in India and a few abroad as well. So that amounts to 10,000 people to be employed by Auspice. And while we do that, we also want to reach out to 1 million consumers and 100 million revenue in US dollars at a very healthy profit margin.
And while you're doing all this, you're creating a social impact, right? You kind of doing this.
It's a kind of social revolution on two fronts. First, the consumer becomes aware that there are possibilities with autism. And the person himself and his family, they are now included in the agri-value chain. So what happens then is they're producing something like this that has an economic value. So their economic inclusion, they have a earning, so financial inclusion. And as a consequence of both these, there is a social inclusion. We are trying to accelerate this process.
So what kind of revenues are you doing currently?
We're doing around 4 lakhs a month, and our target for next year is 1 CR. And by 2030, we want to do 800 CR.
So this is as far as packing is concerned, processing is concerned. What about your sourcing? How do you do that?
See, right now we are not very large in terms of our volumes. What we are beginning to explore is if we can explore from FPOs. FPOs and not farmers, because farmers don't have market linkages. Even if I locate you as a very good producer, you are in, say, Hyderabad and I am in Delhi, how does it reach me?
Yes.
So FPOs provide that market linkage and other benefits to the farmer and to us also. So we will ramp this up, this procurement through FPOs in all parts of India, wherever a spice is grown. So South India is of course very important with pepper and cardamom and cloves. Northeast is also, they do the black cardamom, the bigger one, and some other very important spices. Rajasthan does dhania and jeera and all that. And in between, Karnataka and the Vidarbha region is the chili king. So what we aim to do is have a footprint all over India, small processing centers, very climate friendly technology, maybe with the solar roof and kind of off-grid kind of a thing. So our present carbon emissions per employee is 0.16 tons per year per employee. Now, what is needed to stop climate change is 0.6 tons per year per employee. So we are way below.
Way below that.
Yeah. So we want to maintain it that way. So if we build a large manufacturing unit, big machines, maybe we can produce more, but not sustainably.
Yeah.
So sustainability
And with
is
this concept, you still sure that you can scale the business as you were projecting.
yes, and also because of the way we want to move forward, it's less capital intensive. I don't need 600 crores tomorrow, or if it doesn't happen, then I'm in distress. So this you can scale up. So 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 6, 6 becomes 15. So we have 8 years to create those 100 centers, and we'll be there.
And each center, given your current experience, they will be profitable.
All of them, yes.
All of them.
After the first year of setting up, we start with the training program immediately once the plant is commissioned. So that is say 6 months or 8 months hiring and all, and then you start commercial production. So what happens is this way of scaling up, it scales up with the demand. So my demand doubles, I open another one. So
Thank you, Parag. Thank you very much for being on our show. And
Yeah.
we wish you all the very best.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome to the Founder Talk Show. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. I'm at the AIDEA ICAR NAM campus to cover the Agri Udan 5.0 accelerator program. I have with me Amit Godse, who's the founder of Bee Basket. Amit, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So tell me, Bee Basket, do you produce honey, or what's the business you're into?
So we provide honeybees on rent for pollination.
Interesting. Honey bee on rent.
Yes.
Okay.
So our major focus is on pollination, not the honey production.
Other honey production. Interesting. So how does this work? होता कैसे? मतलब, let's say if I have a farm and मैं कैसे आपसे rent करूँगा? How do I do that? How does this work?
So if you have flowering, so honeybees are pollinating more than 100 crops in India. So when you have flowering, you can contact us, and during the flowering time, we keep our boxes in your farm, and we take rain from you. Once the flowering is over, we take our bee boxes along with us. You don't need to take care of bees. We'll take everything.
And what duration do you have to keep this? I mean, 1 month, 2 months, 3
It
months?
depends upon the flowering time.
Okay.
So if the flowering is for 1 month or 1.5 months or 2 months, depends upon that.
Okay. And typically for an acre of land, how many boxes do I need to take, and what would it cost?
It depends upon the flowering density. Just like for mangoes, the flowering density is high. For pomegranate, it's towards the lower side.
Okay.
Okay. So in 1 acre, you need to keep around 3 to 4 boxes for mangoes and 2 to 3 boxes for pomegranate. So one box costs around 2,500 rupees per month per box. Depends upon the which area as well, distance area.
How big is this market? I mean, how many boxes do you deploy every month through the year?
Okay, so the market is too big. Like for if you talking about only crops, the crop market is around 15,000 crore. If you talk about seed market, so it is around 18,000 crore. Okay, if you combine both, it is around 33,000 crore.
So you would, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have around 450 bee boxes, and we keep on moving boxes from one farm to another on different farm. And we have 12-month floral chart. Like in the month of January, we have a mango blooming, mango flower is blooming. In the month of February, we have onion seed flower is blooming. In the month of March, we have pomegranate flower is blooming. So we have 12-month floral chart. So we keep on moving boxes from one farm to another to optimum utilization of honeybees, especially stingless bees. These are the non-stinging bees.
Okay. And I mean, to have these many boxes, 450 boxes you have, and aage aakar you will only increase them, right?
No. So what we are trying right now, we want to aggregate all the beekeepers across India for the pollination. So that is why we have created a platform. The platform name is Paragan. Paragan is a Sanskrit word that means cross pollination. Okay. So through this platform, we'll aggregate all the beekeepers across India to provide pollination services across India. And
So, yeah.
yeah, and these bees also work inside a poly house. Only this species, stingless bees, work inside a poly house. No other species work inside a poly house. So we have bees for different crop, different bees are there.
What's your plan going forward for your business?
Okay. So currently what we are doing, we have bees with us, and we have tied up with different agriculture universities, different seed companies as well, and different FPOs as well. We provide them bees on rent during the flowering time. And we are also generating lots of data regarding honeybees, pollination level data, so that we'll get to know in which crop how much increase is there. Okay. So if you keep bee boxes in your farm, the increase is around 20 to to 30%. Depends upon crop. And looking forward, we are looking forward to aggregate all beekeepers, and we can have a margin model.
What kind of revenues are doing right now?
So we have kept bee boxes in different crops, like for mangoes, with the help of Konkan Agriculture University, Dapoli. And we kept also bee boxes in different mango farms. Currently we have kept, and the results are very encouraging. And we also kept bee boxes in cucurbit, like for cucumber, then muskmelon, watermelon as well, inside a poly house. And the results are fantastic. In fact, a farmer in Shikrapur, close to Maharashtra, he kept bee boxes inside a poly house. And what he got, he was not getting, he was getting flowering, but not getting fruiting due to lack of bees inside a poly house. So he was very distressed, and he got a suggestion from different people, like you should open the upper part of a poly house or side portion of the poly house so the pollinators can come. But one poly house costs around 4 lakhs rupees, and no one want to destroy that poly house. So as a last resort, he contacted us, and we kept bee boxes, and within 5 days he got the result. He got the fruiting also in cucumber.
Is there a loss or wastage also happens?
No. We only keep bee boxes. In fact, bees utilize pollen to optimum level. If you do it by hand pollination, if you do it by air or water pollination as well, bees are the best pollinator in this world. Among pollination, 73% pollination is done by honeybees itself. And among honeybees, stingless bees are the best pollinator, because they take the pollen from one flower and put it on another flower.
So Amit, as a 3 years old company, what kind of business are you doing? What kind of revenues are you doing today?
Earlier we used to sell honey, and we are major into a conservation of honeybees. But later on, what I have found, honey market is a very clutter market, and we were getting lots of calls for pollination, for pomegranate, mangoes, onions, seed production, and no one were catering them in a big way. So I felt like we already have the knowledge about honeybees, and this is a big market and no one is catering. So we pivoted it to pollination market, and we have generated revenue around 31 lakhs rupees in 2022. At 23rd, we are expecting around 45 lakhs.
You are currently limited to Maharashtra, or you are in other
Yeah,
states also?
so currently we are focused in only Maharashtra-centric crops, like pomegranate, mangoes, and onion seeds, and watermelon, muskmelon.
Amit, there is a huge spike in urban farming, in cities. You can say rooftop, terrace gardening, people do balcony gardening. So do you have any solution for them?
Absolutely. So what we are doing in cities, we are promoting bees as a pet. Many people keep cats, dog, birds. Why can't people keep bees as a pet? And these bees will help them to grow their food. Apart from that, they will get honey also, and you don't need to take care of them much. So once in a year, you just need to open the box for 2 to 3 times. That's it. And you can grow bee-friendly flora. And in cities, bees get lots of different flora. Okay, diverse flora is there. Like you are growing different flower, your neighbor is growing different flower. So throughout the year, they're getting food. So you can get honey. They will help you to pollinate your crops in urban centers. Yeah, and you are getting. In fact, it is bees are there so that you can see them every day. Okay, and good for you.
That's a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
Honey bee as a pet.
Absolutely.
That helps you, grow honey and also pollinate your, kitchen
Absolutely.
garden.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
very interesting.
And in fact, these stingless bees produce around 200 to 300 grams of honey. But this honey is highly medicinal. 1 kg of honey costs around 6,000 rupees per kg.
And how much time does it take?
It depends upon the flowering. The more you flowers are there, the more you get the honey. They work just like a machine.
So for a kg of honey, depending on an average place of one acre land, with enough flowers and all.
Okay, so it depends upon the species as well. Like if you talk about stingless bees, they produce around 300 grams of honey in a year.
In a year.
In a year, but that honey is highly medicinal. If you keep stinging
you can't
bees,
consume on a regular as a regular.
you can. But that honey is highly medicinal. If you talk about other stinging bees, you can also keep those bees. Okay, they give you 10 kg of honey in a year.
So as a company, when you say stingless bees, now you expect me to collect my own honey, right? What happens to the bees?
Okay, so what happens if you keep bees in cities? You not only harvesting honey, you are breeding those bees as well. So what we do, we buy back those extra colonies from you.
Okay.
So you will earn out of it as well.
So typically on a garden or a rooftop, how many
Abs-
boxes or how many honeybee boxes can I keep?
You can keep all 3 to 4 bee boxes.
3 to 3.
Yeah, and they're non-stinging bees. So
It's safe as
it's
well.
safe. It's safe. You don't need to care them much as well.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Great meeting to you. Yeah. Bye.
फॉलो टॉक शो पर आपका स्वागत है। मैं हूं मेजर सुनील शेट्टी। मैं हूं ICAR नाम के कैंपस पर और इधर अग्नि उड़ान 5.0 एक्सेलरेटर प्रोग्राम चल रहा है, जिस पे कि आज हम मेरे साथ में हैं नीतीश कुमार जी, जो कि भोजपत्ता एक अग्री बेस्ड स्टार्टअप है, उसके फाउंडर हैं। नीतीश कुमार जी, वेलकम, स्वागत है आपका शो पर।
थैंक यू
सो आप बिहार से आते हैं
जी।
और एग्रीकल्चर में हैं
जी।
भोजपत्ता मतलब पहली बात बताइए कि क्या भोजपत्ता करता क्या है?
भोजपत्ता एक स्टार्टअप है और ये जो है आपको हमारा दूसरा प्रोजेक्ट है। मैं बायोडिग्रेडेबल बनाना बार्क प्लेट का, जो कि हम लोग प्लेट बनाए हैं, जो कि आपको बायोडिग्रेडेबल है, यानी ज़मीन में मिलेगा तो वो खाद बन जाएगा 45 डेज़ के अंदर में। तो ये प्लेट हमने बनाना बार्क से बनाया, केले के छाल से। और इसी स्टार्टअप में दूसरा चीज़ है हम लोग का जीरो कार्बन इमिशन ड्रायर, जिसको हिंदी में हम लोग सुखौता कहते हैं, यानी फीलिंग हैप्पीनेस, सुख होता।
अच्छा।
हाँ। इसको शॉर्ट में हमने सुखौता कहा है, क्योंकि हमारे ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में पहले जो महिलाएं थी वो लोग फ्रूट एंड वेजिटेबल को डिहाइड्रेट करती थी। आने वाले मुसीबत में या आने वाले समय में उसको प्रिजर्व करके रखा जाता है कि जिस समय मतलब बाढ़ आ जाए या फिर ठंडी हो, उस समय नहीं मिले, उसके लिए जो है उसको सुखाती थी। लेकिन अभी इधर 20 साल जो है ग्लोबल वार्मिंग या फिर वैश्वीकरण के दौर में ये मतलब प्रचलन में नहीं है, तो इसलिए हमने ड्रायर बनाया है, जो कि जीरो कार्बन इमिशन ड्रायर इसका नाम है, हिंदी में सुखौता है। ये जो है आपको काम करता है प्रिज्म टेक्नोलॉजी पे। नॉर्मल ड्रायर जो होता है 80 डिग्री तापमान तक ही मतलब होता है, और हमने इसमें प्रिज्म टेक्नोलॉजी को डाला है, जिसकी वजह से ये ड्रायर कम ओवन ज़्यादा है। इसके प्रयोग से महिलाएं जो है आपको पापड़, बरी ये सब भी बना सकती है, और बेकरी इंडस्ट्री वाले इससे जो है आपको पिज़्ज़ा बेस और बिस्किट और कुकीज़ भी बना सकते हैं इसमें।
तो
हाँ।
ये सब जो आपने जो टेक्नोलॉजी आपने जो आपने ड्रायर बनाया है, आप कह रहे हैं ये जो पुराना जो एक नॉलेज था या ज्ञान था उसी के
हाँ,
साथ में
ये
influence
इसका
होते हैं।
हमने एक और साइंटिफिक नाम रखा है H2IT, हेल्दी हाइजीन विथ इंडिजिनियस टेक्निक।
इंडिजिनस टेक्निक,
या मतलब हेल्दी है, हाइजीन है और देसी तरीका है।
देसी तरीका है।
बस इसको हमने सिर्फ बॉक्सेज में डाला है, शीशा का वो पूरा कवर है, और इसमें प्रिज्म टेक्नोलॉजी का
कहीं आप
इस्तेमाल
लोगों ने देसी तरीका को
मॉडर्न टेक्निक में डाल
में
दिया
दे
है।
दिया,
और इसमें हमने मतलब अभी अपने यहाँ इंडिया में जो है 85% स्टेट माने आप कह सकते हैं शहर ऐसे हैं जहाँ पे एयर क्वालिटी इंडेक्स बहुत ही लो है, सांस लेना दूभर है। तो इसमें हमने ड्रायर में जो है एक नेचुरल फाइबर से बना हुआ एक क्लॉथ डाला है, जो कि एयर को फिल्टर करके अंदर जाने देता है। तो ये एयर अंदर में जो चीज़ प्रोडक्ट डिहाइड्रेट होता है वो पूरी तरह से हाइजीन है और नैनो पार्टिकल को छान करके उसमें जाता है, इसलिए प्योर शुद्ध भी है। इसमें जो है जो भी चीज़ डिहाइड्रेट होता है उसमें नेचुरल टेक्सचर और एरोमा बरकरार रहता है, जिसकी वजह से ये पूरी तरह से स्वास्थ्यवर्धक है। और हम लोग ज़्यादातर कोशिश करते हैं महिलाओं का सशक्तिकरण पे और उनके मतलब जीविकोपार्जन बढ़े उसके लिए, क्योंकि हमारे बिहार में और प्लस जो है नॉर्दर्न इंडिया में जो है महिलाएं एक टाइमिंग होता है खेती का, प्री हार्वेस्टिंग, पोस्ट हार्वेस्टिंग, उसके बाद वो खाली बैठी रहती है। तो उनको एम्प्लॉयमेंट से डायरेक्ट जोड़ने के लिए ये प्रक्रिया हम लोग लाए हैं। और इसमें ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हम लोग अपना 87% हमारे यहाँ जो है विलेज फार्मर है, बाकी 13-14% ही मतलब बिहार में जो है आपको शहर में रहते हैं, या फिर बाकी सभी लोग ग्रामीण क्षेत्र से ही बिलोंग करते हैं। तो ये अपना इंडिया भी 65% जो है एग्रो बेस है, तो 65% इंडिया में भी आपको लोग जो है कृषि से जुड़े हुए हैं, तो उनके लिए ज़्यादा बेटर है कि वो अपना आमदनी 2 गुना नहीं 2.5 गुना कर सके।
बहुत बढ़िया। आपको किस तरह का मदद मिला है, मतलब चाहे वो सरकार से हो, सेंट्रल लेवल पे, स्टेट लेवल पे, और जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जैसे ए आइडिया नाम है, तो किस तरह का सपोर्ट मिला है आपको इसमें?
ए आइडिया नाम से हमको मतलब एक्सेलेटर प्रोग्राम है, इसमें हमको मेंटरशिप मिला है कि कैसे आप अपने आपको मार्केट में स्केल करेंगे, कैसे आप मार्केट में उतरेंगे, या फिर फ्यूचर प्लानिंग क्या रहेगा, उसमें क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है, ये सब के बारे में हम लोग को गाइडलाइन मिला है। और ये बहुत ही बढ़िया प्रोग्राम है एग्रीकल्चर बेस के लिए, एग्री बेस स्टार्टअप के लिए। और इसके अलावा हमें एक जैविक इंडिया अवार्ड में फर्स्ट प्राइज़ मिला है, वो भी आपको आगरा में वो मिस्टर BC पाटिल जो है एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर कर्नाटका, उन्होंने दिया है। तो वो अपना जैविक खेती का भी काम है, और हमने 350 प्लस फार्मर के साथ मिलकर एक फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर कंपनी बना रखा है। तो अपना जो है कि इसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए हम लोग किसान से भी जुड़ रहे हैं और जीविका के समूह की महिलाओं से भी जुड़े। हमारे यहाँ जीविका चलता है, SRLM का प्रोजेक्ट है जीविका, और अदर स्टेट में उसको आजीविका बोलते हैं। NRLM का जो प्रोजेक्ट है आजीविका, और हमारे स्टेट में जीविका। तो जीविका की महिलाएं जो हैं ये हमारे मशीन को फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ले सकती हैं।
अच्छा,
सरकार का एक स्कीम है जिसके द्वारा फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट जीविका से जुड़ी हुई जो महिलाएं ले सकती है इसको।
तो क्या आपको फिर जो इसको बनाने के लिए जो कैपिटल चाहिए तो वो कहाँ से आता है, अगर फ्री में दें?
आप फ्री का मतलब वो नहीं कि मतलब उनसे पैसा नहीं लेना है, पैसा लेना है, लेकिन जब जो जीविका से जुड़ी हुई महिला हैं उसको PMFME स्कीम है भारत सरकार का एक, उसके द्वारा उनको 40,000 का सीड मनी मिलता है। तो किसान को तो सब्सिडी पे मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा बात का चीज़ है, लेकिन सरकार का स्कीम SHG पे है, तो वो मेरा प्राइस भी मशीन का 40,000 ही है। तो वो 40,000 रुपया उनको स्कीम के द्वारा मिल गया, और वो पैसा उनको लौटाना नहीं है। तो ये उनके लिए फ्री में ही हो एक तरह से। पैसा तो देना है, मेरा मशीन मेरा बिजनेस चलाने के लिए पैसा तो हमको चाहिए, लेकिन वो उनके लिए फ्री है, क्योंकि वो सरकार उनको दी है, लेकिन उसे उनको रिटर्न नहीं करना है, और उनकी आमदनी को भी बढ़ा देगा। मान के चलिए अगर आप किसान है, खेती करते हैं, तो उसमें आपका वेस्टेज जाता है, लॉसेज जाता है। तो बहुत सारे किसान जो है आपको कर्ज में डूब जाते हैं या फिर सुसाइड तक कर लेते हैं। हमारे बिहार में तो कम है पैरामीटर, लेकिन इधर आपका साउथ इंडिया या फिर महाराष्ट्र गुजरात में किसान ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा सुसाइड करते हैं। तो ये जो है अगर घर का आमदनी अभी 8,000 है, और हमारे डिहाइड्रेटर से अगर कोई यूज करेगा तो पर डे 200 से 400 तक का आमदनी महिला घर बैठे कर सकती है। यानी 10 kg से लेकर के 20 kg अगर वो फ्रूट एंड वेजिटेबल को डिहाइड्रेट कर दे तो वो 200 से 400 का आमदनी एक्स्ट्रा में कर सकती है, जिससे कि उनके फैमिली में 12,000 से 16,000 के आसपास उनका मतलब रेवेन्यू बढ़ जाएगा महीने का, जो कि उनके लिए बहुत बड़ी बात होती है किसानों के लिए। तो इस वजह से जो है किसान सुसाइड और कर्ज में नहीं डूबेंगे, और उनका मतलब एक स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग भी बढ़ेगा। और हमारा माननीय मोदी जी का जो सपना है किसानों की आमदनी 2 गुनी, उसी दिशा में हम तत्पर हैं और उसी पे हम काम कर रहे हैं।
बहुत बढ़िया। सो ये बताइए कि अभी तक आपने कितना रेवेन्यू किया और कितने मशीन आप बेच चुके हैं?
अभी मेरा पिछले साल जुलाई में इसको कॉन्सेप्ट को लाए थे, तो अभी 18 मशीन हम बेच चुके हैं, और अभी ठंडी की वजह से और मशीन का ऑर्डर है। वो ठंडी ख़त्म होता है, और हम लोग के यहाँ जो है खरमास को लेकर के लोग नया चीज़ नहीं लेते हैं, जिसकी वजह से 14 जनवरी के बाद मेरा सेल और बढ़ेगा। तो 18 मशीन अभी तक हम प्रेजेंट बेच चुके हैं, डिफरेंट स्टेट और डिफरेंट लोकेशन पे। आसाम में भेजे हैं, वो हल्दी को डिहाइड्रेट करते हैं आपको, उसके बाद राजस्थान में दिए हैं, वो धनिया को डिहाइड्रेट करते हैं। फिर आपके बाद उत्तराखंड में दिए हैं जो मशरूम फार्मर है उनके लिए है, और बाद बाकी जो है अपना बनाना फार्मर के लिए हमने अपने ज़िला स्टेट अपने राज्य में दिया है। तो इस टाइप से हमने 18 मशीन सेल किया अभी तक।
आपका अगला प्लान क्या है इसके बाद? ये आज क्योंकि आप लोग मशीन, आपका जो मेन एम है वो ये है कि आप फार्मर्स के लिए कुछ नया चीज़ बनाते रहें। अगला क्या होगा?
अगला इसके बाद हम लोग जो कर रहे हैं, इसके बाद मेरा एक R&D में है प्रोजेक्ट, ये आपको इको मैट है जो कि फ्लड में खेती करने के काम आएगा। तो ये मैट अभी हम लोग का R&D में है, उसको भी उस पर काम चल रहा है अपना। तो ये मैट जो है एक तरह का मतलब नेचुरल फाइबर से बना हुआ मैट है, जो कि आपको बाढ़ जहाँ पे आता है वहाँ पे खेती कर सकते हैं, और खेती के बाद जैसे ही बाढ़ का लेवल, पानी का लेवल डाउन होता है तो वो ज़मीन में मिल करके खाद हो जाएगा। यानी आप बाढ़ का भी समय में यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं और उसके बाद जो है कि उसका वो स्टोरेज करना या फिर उसको कैरी करना नहीं है, वो जैसे ही ज़मीन के संपर्क में आएगा वो खाद बन जाएगा। तो ये फसल के लिए फ़ायदेमंद है, किसान के लिए फ़ायदेमंद है कि बाढ़ में भी वो खेती करके अपना इनकम जो लॉसेज है उनको मेकअप कर सके। तो मेरा अगला प्रोजेक्ट है इकोमेट।
थोड़ी बात अब बताइए आपकी टीम के बारे में और आप इसमें कैसे आए उसके बारे में बताइए।
जैसे 2011 में हमने 2010 में ग्रेजुएशन किया ऑफिस मैनेजमेंट से कॉलेज ऑफ कॉमर्स पटना। तो उसके बाद मैंने बनाना फाइबर इंडस्ट्री पे अपना काम फोकस किया, क्योंकि हम 2-4-10 इंटरव्यू दिए, परीक्षा दिए, बैंकिंग का परीक्षा दिए, नहीं हुआ तो फिर सोचा कि
सोचा नहीं कि मैं गवर्नमेंट नौकरी करूं।
हाँ, फिर हमने सोचा कि 10,000 के लाइन में क्यों खड़ा होना है, अपने सामने 10,000 लोग हो, ऐसा कुछ काम करना है। तो 2011 में बैंक से हमने लोन लेकर के बनाना फाइबर इंडस्ट्री को डेवलप किया और उसमें जो काम हमने किया अभी तक, उसमें 2 बार माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी हमारे पास आ चुके हैं, 2017 में और 2019 में हमारे प्लांट पे आए थे। तो उन्होंने काफ़ी सराहा इस काम को और उसके बाद 2021-22 में हमको जैविक इंडिया अवार्ड मिला है और हम लोग इसी पे काम कर रहे हैं। बनाना के पे ज़्यादा काम करते हैं हम लोग। उसका बनाना बार्क से प्लेट बनाए हैं, फिर उसके बाद पेपर बनाए हैं, उसके बाद कैरी बैग है, टेबल मैट है। अभी हम लोग रिसेंटली 2 चीज़ उतार रहे हैं, थैला और झोला। 2 ब्रांड और आएगा हम लोग का अभी मार्केट में, थैला और झोला। लो कॉस्ट थैला और झोला जो कि प्लास्टिक को जो है रिप्लेस करेगा, क्योंकि प्लास्टिक जो है 2 रुपये 3 रुपये में मिलता है मैक्सिमम, और कोई भी बायोडिग्रेडेबल या फिर कोई भी अल्टरनेटिव प्लास्टिक जो है, जो कि बोलते हैं कि बायो प्लास्टिक है, ऐसा वो फ्रूटफुल नहीं है, ज़मीन पे उतर नहीं रहा है। क्या कारण है कि प्लास्टिक बैन 2021 में हुआ, उसके बाद से आज तक स्ट्रांगली कोई भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट उसको लागू नहीं कर पाई। इसका एक ही कारण है कि उसका रेट ही इतना कम है, उस रेट में कोई भी बायो प्लास्टिक नहीं दे पाएगा। कोई भी प्लास्टिक का कैरी बैग का अल्टरनेट लाता है तो वो उतना कम रेट में ला ही नहीं पाएगा। और हम लोग अभी बनाना बाग से जुड़ा हुआ बना रहे हैं, जो कि 2 रुपये 3 रुपये तक थैला आ जाएगा, जो कि उसको रिप्लेस करेगा। तो हम लोग चाह रहे हैं लो कॉस्ट में हो, वैल्यूम में ज़्यादा बिके, वैल्यू में नहीं, वैल्यूम में बिके, प्रॉफिट अपने आप हो जाना है। तो ये हमारा कंसेप्ट है आगे का। थैला और झोला 2 ब्रांड आएगा अपना और आगे चल के।
दीदी जी शुक्रिया, आप हमारे शो पे आए।
धन्यवाद।
और हम ये देख रहे हैं आगे आपके साथ में जुड़ेंगे बाकी और एग्रीकल्चर प्रोग्राम्स पर। शुक्रिया,
थैंक यू सर।
AIC CCMB organized startup social event at Hyderabad. Prominent leaders from biotechnology sector addressed the gathering. Listen in.
Welcoming the online guests of us today. I am Ramji. I work as a Chief Operating Officer at AIC CCMB. I think most of you may be knowing AIC CCMB is kind of sector specific incubator, especially into life science and healthcare. 5-year-old journey that we have seen here with by inducting actually 85 plus startups here, startups and innovators, and some of the startups could able to go global, and some have seen their products commercialized, and we have some stories here. So I formally welcome you all, because you are eagerly waiting to hear what other experts today they'll be discussing about how to actually productize. So LVPI and of course our colleagues will be talking, but before I invite them, quickly to say, once you actually hear this panel discussion and to see what's happening out here, maybe you can see our facilities. Of course, we ran out of space. That is one thing I can say. But yes, virtual space is always welcome here. So we work together, LV Prasad and many other incubators and other institutions. So please come and actually engage with us constantly. And whenever you have something, you need something, please ask us. We have different programs and also seed fund, especially for healthcare medtech. So close to $1.5 million fund dedicated for seed fund. And other than that, we have different programs like SPOSH fellowship program, TIDE program. I'm not going to mention because I don't want to show any slides now. But yeah, thank you so much for joining here. physically and of course our online friends there. Now I request LUPI team so that please come and give welcome address from your what you can say. Many of the people might have not visited there, so you have to actually tease them. That's what I can say because I have seen there. So please, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ramji, for this opportunity to work together on this startup social. Welcome to Kumars, Mr. Shirish Kumar and Shiv Kumar. And also welcome to Dr. Pankaj, Mr. Pankaj Thakur. Thank you so much for being here today. So I just don't want to take too much time. LV Prasad is not-for-profit organization taking care of multiple levels of patients from bottom-up or top-down model, where at the top at Hyderabad we have a center of excellence, and at the bottom we have what we call Village Vision Complex. So totally we are at 264 locations in 3+1 state in India. That's what we do, from precision care to primary care. This is what we generally cater to. And in Hyderabad, it's a city with a lot of technology, I must say. And we are also into medtech in terms of innovation, because our Innovation Center for Technology Innovation Center is close to 10-year-old now. And in the last few years, we also have our own incubation center, basically catering to medtech products. So that's what is being done, and we have few of the products, and we have some of the incubators now with us. And Hyderabad is a good ecosystem for all of this, from prototyping to productization to marketing and validation, because anything related to ophthalmology or any healthcare, we can validate across our network from top to down, be it secondary level, be it primary level, be it at the center of excellence. So that's the advantage what we have. And we are very, very happy to collaborate with the Atal Incubation Center here. This is also one of our partners, because that's where we coexist, because each of us have some strength, and we work on that so that it helps the larger group of people. And I want to welcome all of you for this, and I'm looking forward to the panel discussion. Thank you very much for having us today here. Thank you.
I think let's have a quick discussion with the panel members. Today we have Mr. Pankaj Thakur from Paddock Ventures and Shishir from Huel and Sif Bio, and of course other companies maybe. So, and also Incumed, unfortunately Shiva is not joining, but Surya Rao from Altheon, he's also one of our successful startups who actually developed water technology, ultra pure technologies. He'll be joining. So before he come, I think Pankaj would like to present or talk about 5 minutes or so that each speaker can speak about 5 minutes. Then we can actually go for a quick discussion.
So you put me on the spot, but that's okay. So what would you like to hear? Let me understand. I mean, I can tell my story, which is 37-year-old. You'll get bored. So what do you want to hear about? Give me something that you really care about in startup world. What is it? I know everybody who comes into our office is looking for funding, and I don't want to talk about that because that's the most difficult subject to explain. And though we've got about 100 startups funded in the last 4.5 years, but I don't want to boast about that because that's what we do for a living anyway. But that's a process. So anybody else wants to know anything other than the funding?
So
yes.
Few companies in healthcare and
so I'll talk about our latest that we are going to do now. We've been asking corporate world, and these are really the people with the money and non-CSR funding to come in and open and help the various verticals, including healthcare. And we've been talking to about 30 odd corporates, really pushing them to contribute not only by this, not only their money, but their entire value chain into the system so that startups can actually take advantage of that, leverage it, and grow. And one such came across, and fortunately it's in healthcare, GSK. So GSK and us are now trying to help healthcare startups, and we kept it very broad because if you narrow down, see, drug discovery, GSK will never be able to actually do that because it's a global mandate. But GSK India is a listed company, has some power to itself. So they said, okay, we want to do these 5 things. The first thing they came up with, how can we actually leverage data? We don't have data. And seriously, they don't have data. They're completely opaque to the entire system. What doctor is writing to what patient, they have no clue. And from there, what it comes to chemist and what chemist gives, they have no clue. They only have clue is what they ship to their distributor and distributor gives it to retailer. And how much of that gets sold is a matter of reconciliation of inventory. But the important part, and we all understand, in tomorrow's world, data is what's going to drive any company's growth, and healthcare is no exception. So if any one of you have any healthcare data related startup, there is 4 things available to you. One, of course, a very structured approach, handheld holding you for next 2 years to grow, first sustain, grow, and then scale. In the first phase of 6 months, you will get 3 crores worth of funding if you qualify. And it will be at a fair market value. Nobody is asking. There will be external investors who will validate you, and GSK is going to get a co-invest in that. That's the first thing. Second thing, you will get access to entire GSK's network if you're looking for a distribution or if you're looking to access doctors, patients. As he said, they can validate anything in ophthalmologies. GSK also had certain, about 30 odd, 40 odd SKUs. They can actually help you validate those ideas in today's. They have access to doctors, hospitals, and to everybody else. So that's another thing. Third thing they bring to the table is the domain knowledge. The pharma industry or healthcare industry is now really, pharma cannot say that I am a separate than healthcare or, generic or even cosmetics for that matter. They have a lot of cosmetics products which they want to plan to launch and they don't know how to do it, primarily because they're a pharma company. They have a consumer product company which sells your, toothpaste and all that, but that's different. So that's the third thing you get is you get all the domain knowledge. Their entire team is ready to help you, handhold you, and take you. Fourth thing is they bring us PadUp in. What does PadUp do? We have created programs which will help startups go through a process of creating a customized business plan where investors can write check. That's what I said. 100 companies have actually raised money. One of the companies actually is from here, Semantic Web. You'll be surprised that we took Semantic Web through the program and they were not really interested in raising money. They got a big grant. They were very happy. So I told Dr. Asha that, look, there is a chance because our program culminates on a demo day. And there was a lot of investor interest and this team of husband and wife was not ready to take money. It took me 3 months to convince her to take money. And the day she said, okay, I'll take money, I think I need about 1 crore. And we put it on our angel group. We have an angel group of friends of PadUp. Within 1 hour, she got 1 crore. We opened at 5 in the evening. We closed at 6 in the evening. She would have actually got 3-4 crores that day. And the money is lying in a bank. She's not spending it for some reason. She's supposed to be here today or maybe meet me tomorrow in Bangalore. And, the idea is funding is actually a output of what you do. Funding is not input for what you do. People who chase money will waste time, effort. So I have been 3 times over entrepreneur. 25 years I have been doing this for a living. First time was not really a classical entrepreneur, but I used to work for HCL, came out of HCL, and all I knew was how to push boxes, right? So you're selling computers 500 rupees less, 1,000 rupees less, and we used to do box pushing. And after 5 years, I got bored and I picked up my bag and went to US and created a startup there. When I created a startup there, raised a lot of money, but because of 9/11, it just went down and under. I buried it ceremoniously and came back. Right? And that time I realized that I chased, before I saw my first term sheet, I had already knocked 50 doors in US. I used to go every day. I used to drive on the wrong side of the road, as per me, that was wrong side, and end up in Palo Alto or, Sand Hill and things like that. And, it was very difficult I called router a router. I didn't understand what schedule means because we had schedule. I didn't understand what month on month mean. Month on month, what is he saying? I don't know. How does month on month, we say month after month. Anyway, I struggled through that and I realized it's not that the way. I got a mentor to myself. This mentor was a junior from my college, but had gone and worked, later on came to MIT Manipal, and then worked there and had made it big. $400 million he had made. So he said, okay, I'll give you $1 million, but you have to listen to me. I said, tu mera junior hai, kaisi baat kar raha hai? He said, but you don't know anything about this place. Next 6 months, he gave me $1 million. We worked upon everything, hired people. And in next 6 months, we raised about, first round was $8 million. Next round, after that, about a year later, about another $7 million, $15 million we raised. And this gentleman handheld me through all this process. Unfortunately, the company did not do well and I came back. And then I did another startup called Cellcast in India, ran for 10 years. My last yearly revenue was about 200 crores. And I sold that company in 2013. And since then, I'm trying to figure out how do I help startups to take my gyan and become successful. So I have gone with my baggage, institute by institute. 250 odd institutes I've covered, including IIT, IIMs, whosoever called me, I went there, you pay my ticket, I'll come. And the learning from there is that there are no takers of entrepreneurs in this country, primarily because the ROI doesn't work out. Today, even in the smallest of the smallest college, the engineering cost 4 year is about 16 lakhs. Now, out of 16 lakhs, somebody, lower middle class person paying for their children, the child should not be doing entrepreneurship. And I support that. But what I'm trying to say here is that entrepreneurship does not come when you come out of the college. It comes when you work for 10 years and then start doing something. And when you start doing something, if you start chasing money, it'll never come. You'll have to chase the business. And best way to chase the business is hire a mentor. Get a mentor on board, and he'll help you open doors. He'll help you create an ecosystem. He'll help you create strategic partners. And sometimes he'll even put up his money. So we have about 80 mentors and each one of them actually doubles up as an investor. And the reason for that is because mentorship till now has been very ad hoc and informal. Mentors' skin in the game is not there. And when a skin in the game is, he should write a check, even if it is for 2 lakhs, to your company for a fair market value and then help you go that distance, which is about 3 years. 95% of the companies fail within 3 to 5 years of their existence. 95%. And the only reason they fail is they don't have mentors. Only reason. Everybody has an idea, product, blah, blah, blah. What they don't have is business. And because they don't have business, they can't get funding. And because they can't get funding, they go down and under. So get a mentor. And for a startup, I say get a life. That's it. Any questions? We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
I think, I'm sorry, please, just a quick question. Sometimes it's also critical to know how to choose a mentor. So what would your criteria be to choose a mentor?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, to choose a mentor, first of all, don't think he's a consultant. they're not going to work you. They're not going to work for you, and don't expect him or her to babysit you. A mentor is a person who has the domain and business knowledge both. It cannot be only domain. And I sit on IIT Delhi's review board and I see it every day where the professors are mentors and the startups struggle primarily because there is no business sense that actually prevails over them. So yeah, and second thing, there has to be a formal arrangement where there has to be maybe a small equity given to the mentor. And if mentor can invest, that's like icing on the cake.
I think still the answer is how to choose a mentor. That's the question.
So there are two things. I mean, somebody told me this long. First, look for the chemistry. If chemistry works out, math will automatically work out. I now request Shishir to please introduce yourself.
To give you a brief, I started one company called RAS Life Sciences in 2008 along with my wife. She is a PhD from CCMB as well. And then exited it in 2017. We sold to Biomerio, a French company, and then started two more companies. One named Huel Life Sciences, which is human welfare. So no connection to China. Please don't think Huel is something which is related to human welfare. And then subsequently another company called Sirf Bio, which Hindi wala, Sirf, so Sirf Bio. So we make equipment over there for biology. Other one, we make equipment, reagents. So we make end-to-end in diagnostics. We make enzymes, we make plastics, we make primers and probe, we make all for diagnostics, especially RT-PCR related stuff. Along with right now, we are also making rapid lateral flow assays. So, fortunately or unfortunately, COVID struck. So, we did good. So, we were the largest sellers in the country. We sold around 4.35 crores of tests with completely indigenization. And we did decent. We did more than 100 crores. So, we did fairly well. Last 3 years, we are doing fine. We have built a big facility, which is at Sultanpur Medical Devices Park, and currently we have around 72 employees, which include PhDs, masters. So many. I think fortunately, once you have little bit money, you can attract good talent as well. So that's the unfortunate thing of startups, because many times when you feel that you need good people, you need money for that, and you need money, and you need actually acceptance. Mental attitude of startup guys is always why I need to pay that much, because you don't have that vision to see whether they would be really useful or whether I can make a product out of it or whether they can be of helpful or not. So that's one big challenge. But once you have certain money in company, so you get that confidence levels, which are definitely are worth enough to hire good people. So it's currently doing well. We are exporting. We started exports right now, and we exported to UAE, we exported to Sri Lanka, right now Philippines, and we are also getting product registered in Brazil. So that's a short success story, which lasts 3.5 years story. And currently another good part is we got through Technology Development Board award, and we also raised fund from SIDBI. So we are private investors who are looking at investing, but currently we raised from SIDBI and TDV. So that's in story. Thank you.
And I request Ratnam sir, please say about the facilities, and many are excited to actually use the facilities. So please.
Thanks, Ramji. Thanks, everyone. So I come from Eli Prasad Eye Institute. So basically, I'm a biomedical engineer, and we have started the Center for Technology Innovation about a decade ago, inaugurated by none other than Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And since then, our journey was quite upward, and we created, its journey started with basically getting the import replacements 10 years ago. Yeah. And then we slowly developed our own concepts. Why not we do this? Why not we do this? And then we made something. In the early times, we tell the concepts to some of the MNCs, some Swedish companies or, some European, US companies, and they would make it. They would bring in the change. They would bring in the model and say that, okay, this is, this particular scissor told by you, and we made it. And slowly we thought, like any other industry in India, slowly we also get our own confidence and making our own things. That's how we landed up making our own products, our own patents, and details like that. And just a couple of years ago, we got this opportunity, and we started this Bionest incubator. So this is the first hospital-based incubator in India. So many startups, like funding is one big problem, of course. People is another big problem. But when it comes to healthcare, one of the biggest problem is clinical validation. Anywhere you take your product and so can you do the clinical validation, the first thing they say, who have the time? I mean, even some of the big organizations who have that kind of a resource, they create a department, including L. Prasad Institute, called Clinical Research Department, who can do the validation, but it comes with a heavy cost. And therefore, if I walk through and then ask some of my own consultant, can you do this validation? Again, they would say, Ratnam, you know me, I'm seeing 100 patients a day and blah, blah, blah. It's too difficult for them. But what happened is, some of the startup meetings also this question came up. They were saying that, look, my problem is, I made these IoT-based devices connecting all the ECGs and central display, whatever concept they come out. But my problem is I could not validate it. I said, this is the place. We have the hospital-based incubator, which is a beautiful marriage between the healthcare facility and the startup facility. So that's what Ramji was saying, that look, they have something which we don't have, is on prototyping, and other one is, the clinical validation. Of course, our skill set, what we have in-house ranges from mechanical engineer to industrial design engineers, electronic engineers, embedded engineers, and machine operators, and even clinicians, optometrists, ophthalmologists. So many people work together there. And that's a beautiful melting pot for different talents come together to help you. So the facilities what we got, thanks to Bairak and also LVPI management, we have put up one of the most precision equipment to do the prototyping, which can go to the level of microns, because we look at ophthalmology. So some of the scleral lens, for example, we make, even we have a production unit for them, which makes it to the level of sub-millimeter range, and even optical, any kind of material. It could be a PMMA, like a polymer, or it could be aluminum, it could be brass, any kind of things. We could facilitate all that. So that kind of prototyping facility is available. And of course, we have a partnership with AIC, CCMB, like many other partners. We can also link up and be a one-stop shop for doing many things, in all the way up to from idea to POC to prototype, and even industrial design, form factor, all the way up to a clinical validation, which is the sort of acid test for any product. And once it passes, I guess, the idea is good, it should sell. I just want to share one small information from one of the angel investor. I'd never met her before, but she just bumped on me in one of the BITS Pilani campus or a similar social startup social. So she was mentioning that, Ratnam, I know LVPI. So I was wondering, you're from Delhi. How do you know about LVPI? So she was mentioning, no, 30% of our current investment goes into healthcare. I was asking, are you focusing on it? She said, no, we are not pulling it. It is being pushed and it is good. So by automatically my investment on the healthcare is increased. It is 30% is huge compared to agri-tech, fintech, edtech, and so many other things, what they're doing. And she mentioned that 2 of the recent startup funding based on LVPI clinical validation. I said, wow, I didn't know that. It has attracted that much of attention, and validation is so useful to get the funding. So, as he said, chase the business, of course, after validating clinically, or while clinically validating it. Because the process of prototyping from T0, T1 and all that, you would fine-tune it towards the business, actual value adding to the customer or reducing the pain to the customer in some way. So we are open, we are available. and we could help you with all the way, especially in ophthalmology, clinical validation. We have some of the international standards for research is one of the founding pillars of L. Prasad Eye Institute, and clinical research is part of it. So we'll be able to help you, even if you think that, you don't know anything about clinical validation. We'll be able to help you right from the drawing board all the way up to the final stage. Thanks, Anji.
Incumed member Shiva is not here today because of some family emergency, and very fortunate to have Surya Rao here from Altion, one of the startups of us, and he moved to a bigger facility from here. Surya, please.
So, hi everyone, Surya here. We have a facility like 100 meters from here, which is why Ramji called me when somebody didn't show up. No worries. So how many of you are trying to make medical equipment startups? Build medical equipment startups here? 1, 2, 3, 4. One was, okay, 4 of you. Excellent. So we started our journey in IICT, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. We wanted to make a medical RO plant based on certain innovative novel membranes, right? And we did that. And validation, we had to do validation. So that was a big challenge. So we were fortunate to speak to NephroPlus, who is India's largest chain of dialysis centers. And they gave us an opportunity to pilot in Maritpally, which is about 3-4 kilometers here. So they didn't use it in patients. They ran it for a couple of months. They tested it for another couple of months and then started using it. So that's how we started off. So once the orders from NephroPlus started coming in, we were able to go to other companies and say, this is something we've already proven and it's been working with patients. So that's how we started off. So prototyping, if you want to talk about prototyping, which is part of the focus today, right? So I'd say validation, very, very critical. No matter how you do it, either with mentors or if you have to convince somebody, you have to validate before you go too deep into any because it's your time and money you're talking about. So it's better to fail fast and move on to the next better one rather than get stuck with a lame horse, if you will. So that's been my biggest takeaway. And once you go deeper into a particular thing that people know that you can make things that are necessary, you are in the position to make better things, diverge, and increase your revenues and so on. So the first project you pick is very critical. It'll either kill or drive your company forward. That would be my key takeaway. Spend a little bit more time, but get something right the first time. If not, you're dead eventually. Thank you.
So I welcome Dr. Madhusudan Rao, our CEO. Fortunate to join just now. I would like to hear a few words from you, Madhu.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry I just missed the first 10 minutes of it. And welcome to each one of you for coming here. And then, of course, Shishir is our old friend. Surya, of course, went out of our place. And I met L. Prasad's the Bionis Center, which is fantastically equipped for a certain kind of medtech equipment. It's I think even Sadhguru is a kind of hand-holding the place. And I kind of take care of AIC here. And I'm sure most of you have seen the place. And if not, please make some time to see the place. And we are into idea to development stage, not at a product development. Once they become mature product, they leave us and then go to a larger place. So this is what we are. And I'm sure I just leave it at that, but have a good discussion, and especially having, people with a lot of experience around. I think it'll be a great opportunity to get rid of some cobwebs. And welcome again for being here. Thank you.
Few of the questions that are really bugging me to ask these couple of entrepreneurs, and of course L. Prasad Eye. So money, of course, we have money in India, right, Pankaj? So really lots of it. So that's why let's quickly discuss on the struggles that startups generally face. I'll go first with Shishir, because 15 years before, or almost close to, 15 years, because when I was at IKP, the story of Biomure, initial 60%, then to final 100% to Biomure. So that time and to now, maybe at least more than a dozen of such diagnostic kits or any other devices through SIF Bio in partnership with IncuMed or any other partners. How did you kind of crack those, productization? Because that is the first step. Most of the people, they know, okay, if I want to do this lateral flow device based technology or maybe biosensing technology, any other technology, the science side, they're okay. But once you want to make something in hand, a kind of tangible thing, many of the startups are really struggling, where to go and, which can be the affordable one. So how did you crack that for your products, and what do you suggest to the innovators right now in the current generation?
Yeah, I think what Surya said, I agree with that. You have to validate your idea, and I think there's a toughest journey is to take some other's technology and work on it rather working yourself. Because I appreciate what Surya have done, because taking a technology from Indian institutes is a big challenge, especially take it IITs or CCMBs or any institutes, because they are not tuned to those sort of industrialization. So currently what we have done is we have been in diagnostic services first before entering into diagnostics, because we understood, we worked with various kits. We have diagnostic services, and we did fairly good diagnostic services across. So we understood what are the pitfalls and what are the loopholes, and we know, and that created a good repository of samples for us to test our own kits.
What are they? I mean, the loopholes.
Yeah, in the sense, currently most of, I don't believe too much innovation in country. Objective is to have more import substitution. Innovation is a big buzzword to get funding, and especially without that, having that innovation word, probably funders are not that keen, or not even BIRAC guys are keen or to get a big grant or any of this. So believe that first of all, you have to believe that your product is useful for masses. See, once you create a product which is usable, money is always there. So money always follows. But objective is, first is the selection of the product. You have to select such a product where regulations are not very high, which eat away most of your money, because many of the entrepreneurs start with bootstrapping. They sell their whatever they have, assets, or I think most of them, I think the same with Surya and myself. So I think we when we started, we sold our house and we had very little knowledge of finance. I think the finance part is very, very missing in all of the entrepreneurs. Most, and I think even those are from big financial institutions also miss the financial part. So understand, and we don't make Excels. I knew Excel only after the finishing of acquisition of one company. So getting into finance, I bought first book in 2000, I think 10 or 11, Financials for Dummies, because I didn't know about authorized capital, didn't know about paid up capital and all that stuff, acquisitions and all this was not part. So that, see, financials are the things which you need to learn more. And to have a complete planning, take more time on planning. That's what I learned during my entrepreneurial journey. Take more and more time to design, plan, execute. But that takes a long time, because those who are scientists, they are more, they jump first onto the problem, because they know that that's the easiest thing what they can do. Because planning is something which is very, very critical. Until unless you plan well with all angles of technical, financial. So you have to do complete detailed project report of your own project, which we generally tend to not to do any documentation. Before starting any project, we don't do documentation at all. So most of the companies I have seen that we haven't given a complete, right from the screw to the complete device. We need to have a complete awareness of where exactly the product is and how the product looks like or what exactly is needed. We don't have that complete cycle of events which goes into a product development, and that has to be documented before starting your project. Don't document for the sake of somebody or a funding agency or the guy who gives you land or the guy who gives you an incubation center. So please plan according to that. So that's the biggest learning what I feel is to have any initiation of any project. And as I said, validation is a big challenge, not only for devices but even diagnostics. Though we are plenty, we top in the list of TB, we top in the list of HIV. We don't get samples. We don't. People are not. There are no enough centers, and unfortunately, CDCSCO has its own regulatory schemes, which you need to do only in government labs, or whether they are accredited or not, you need to do in government labs. That's unfortunate thing. So whether they are following the regulations or not, we need to do in government labs. So many of those, there are some, I think it's changing, but it has to change quite a bit to encourage more manufacturers. So validations is critical. So you need to, these are all part of your whole design document. You need to have a complete design document before you initiate a project.
Thank you very much. I think the lifting of the project is the key. Where, how do you do that? Good points on planning of it, but again, that includes financial. That's what you hinted upon, because although the mandate that we are having today is about productization, that's not about the physical product that we want to see. That's linked to all these, the regulatory, the prototyping, and the team and everything. So, touching upon to those points, Surya, do we have such kind of, for example, facilities, prototyping facilities, the Bangalore is having its own style, Delhi, not maybe in the main city, but again, Hyderabad, Balnagar areas, what are the crude way of prototyping and all. Now T-Works came. What you have seen, being an incubation manager earlier, you had an incubation and you built incubation centers about 10 years before. So how did you actually crack in your journey? And actually, what is the first thing an innovator should see if you want to prototype something? Can you please tell something about
it? So we use the word, your idea should have legs, which means does it have the potential to go on and survive on its own? That's very important. So prototyping, funding, all that will fall into place if your idea has commercial value primarily. So that is the first step. Like, that's what I think everybody was touching upon. And you can't really, being in incubation centers, having run them, being part of CCMB's incubation center. See, many of our colleagues kind of dream about the usefulness of their idea, and imagine that's such a fantastic idea. It cannot be done like that. You have to go to the users, the end users, and figure out if it's really valuable or not. So from there starts your prototype. So another thing is we can't have a perfect prototype, right? We have to have something that does the minimum job required of it. It's called an MVP, right? Minimum viable product. Yeah. So you got to do that. So in our case, we ran to Balanagar. This was pre-T-Works. So there'd be a giant river of sewage right next to the Balanagar fabrication thing, but we got our work done there. And that is what went to a top-notch medical facility. If the hospital saw where we fabricated, they wouldn't touch it in 100 years. Right next to a river of sewage, right, in Balanagar. So that's the thing. But the parameters, the specifications have to be very, very clear. So you accomplish what the machine or the device has to do, and you got to be very clear about it. And once you've done your R&D, basically you can't really overkill it, right? So my team, for example, gets very irritable when I go along with them to an installation, because I still have my R&D hat on. And they're all about standardization. So when I see something, I say, why don't you change that? And it's a very dangerous thing, because that could lead to some other unintended consequence. So the lessons are, have your specs ready, have something that works, does the job, get it perfect, then go back to your lab and maybe perfect it. So yeah, that's what we have learned. So I've stopped going to sites because they think I'm a distraction. We do our R&D in the lab, but most of the work has to be like process driven, documentation driven, replicability. It has to be repeatable. That is what we have learned. Yeah. So if you guys want to do the prototyping currently, there are like the electronics hub is ECIL, the metalwork hub is Balanagar. There is also Cherlapalli here. But T-Works, which is a Government of Telangana initiative, has fantastic equipment where you can go and prototype all your even electronics, plastics, metalwork, and all that stuff. So it's much better now for people trying to make devices.
So just talking on the facilities, you guys actually directed them actually how someone can actually look into prototype is nothing but kind of a tangible thing, but also link it to many other aspects. So coming to LVPI, as Surya is mentioning about the facilities, have you done before? I mean, I'm just a layman question. Sorry, I don't have any proper agenda of questions. What is that, the ecosystem, the startups needed, or have you done kind of surveys that time? Maybe LV Prasad, of course, having a couple of products gone global, I guess, the fantastic stories that we have. The main facility I came to know from Raghu and Vipin. So, this question is, are we really equipped enough today to do an alpha prototype? And also the regulatory challenges, for example, the industrial designs. So how do you connect? How do you actually help them to design or reiterate their plans to develop a prototype in compliant to the regulatory, what you can say, works or regulatory prospects that we are looking for? Can you please say on that?
Thanks, Ramji. I think you asked a couple of questions. One is that are we really equipped to do the prototype? Second one is it in line with compliance? Yeah. So the answer to the first question is it depends on what we want to do. If you're saying are we equipped to do a nanometer scale chip, then obviously no. But if you're asked, are we equipped to make a proper industrial design and proper mold for a product? Yes. Are we equipped to make a proper electronic design? Yes. Are we equipped to make a proper a mechanical, well-balanced one? Yes. Different metals? Yes. Glass? Yes. Different types of polymers? Yes. I'm not just talking about LV Prasad Eye Institute incubator, but I'm talking that, as a ecosystem, it is very well done. In fact, in one of the past profile as a chief operating officer of a public limited company, we've acquired BTS making company from Asia. That company was in Taiwan. So we acquired that company and then we started making our own BTS at that time. So typically, the RF components would be procured from Germany and some other key chips from Japan, and assembly, would be typically done in Bangalore or assembly would be done in Taiwan, depending on where it is more viable at that time. So India is very prepared, and Hyderabad in particular is catching up very, very fast. So if you ask the ecosystem, it is available. So if you go and search even a multinational company, they have set up their shop in Hyderabad. I just received a mail yesterday from MNC in US, based out of US, doing that. They have an office, and there is one, Mr. Prasad called me, said, we can do the designs for you in electronics. I said, where are you? The entire work is done in US, but they set a shop here, right in Hyderabad, next road. So if you ask, yes, very much. For most of our needs, our ecosystem is ready. It is available, which could do. And the next one is the compliance. So the compliance is a little lucid now because there are a lot of compliance in the past also, not just healthcare, but for the sake of industry or for other things, government sort of going soft on them. They're not shutting down the shops. They're not banning the product or anything. They're given a guideline. They're given a voluntary registration. And now they just, they do a soft start or stuff. In that way, it is better to the industry. Perhaps it's user industry friendly. So even some of the products compliance with CE or certification are guided right here in Hyderabad. right here in Hyderabad. So the ecosystem is ready for any compliance, not just for Indian compliance, any compliance. Not only that, they established manufacturers like, Shishir or the other people here. They not only make their own products, but they also make their assembly line available for making other products as a OEM and help them to comply with those kind of certifications. So we have such partners in the industry available who already have the CE certified product and FDA certified product, but they have the same knowledge and everything available for others to take up and use it. So ecosystem is very well available, and it can very well comply with not just Indian compliance, regulatory compliance, but even international.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry. So, people come here, okay, I need this to be injection molded or maybe any 3D printed, whatever, But again, at the same time, whether you can actually advise, that's what you're telling about the partners. Okay, regulatory, maybe consultants you may be having, and they can actually guide them. Okay, this could be suitable or this may not be suitable. So I'm not having that knowledge of industrial suitability and all those terminologies I cannot use here. But whether any prototyping facility, Surya, whether they will be guiding them properly, boss, this is the way you have to go. I mean, is that the way the T-Works or maybe the prototyping facilities will be? Can you please comment on this?
Yeah, I happen to have one device to be developed based on image processing, and we are developing a POCT device. I sort of figured out that probably Hyderabad, nobody is there to do that. So many things they are not at specific place. Like if I have to go for IoT based or anything like firmware types. So there's somebody sits in Bangalore, and prototype based on image stuff, somebody sits somewhere else. So objective is to get on one platform. Probably incubation centers play a major role in that. Probably advertising more and getting more road shows of what they do, because that is to be very keen for all industries, because we don't know what exactly is to be done. I'm easily approachable. I was CCAM for me, rather approaching LVPI, because I didn't know about LVPI at all. So objective is connecting the dots to the entrepreneur is very, very crucial. Probably you need to have more and more ecosystem development towards it, so that we can use the facility. And many of the startups need at very affordable price. You cannot charge exorbitant. A small device cannot cost you more than 3 to 4 lakhs max. But now the charges are exorbitant. They are more than 10 lakhs in CCAM, which I had to pay. So that should not be the case, at least for MVPs and MVPs.
Oh, thanks, sir. That's a good point, because again, awareness. This today's meeting itself. When Sadhguru came up, let's do something in this. So people should know. And CCMB having its own capabilities of maybe some diagnostic samples or some diagnostic platforms, or LVPI, some prototyping. So again, with the experience of Altheon and Huel or Sirf Bio kind of stories. So Pankaj, I don't want you to be left alone listening to, because money is there, right? So money is there. So in the sense, I'm sorry, just. In your experience, because you already told about Semantic. Again, Semantic is our startup. So they actually enrolled with this, what's the program name? Boot Up. Yes. Boot Up. They got enrolled, and then they actually raised this fund of 70 lakhs or 1 crore, I guess. So in your experience, people come to you for money only, of course. Money majorly, but otherwise also you have such a network or mentoring platform or pool that can help them raise funds at the prototype level or in the seed level or pre-seed level. Can you please share some of the experience in that level? How the Bangalore, probably you might have seen a lot of stories in Bangalore, and any 1 or 2 cases if you can tell in comparison with Hyderabad today.
So I can't really compare Hyderabad, Bangalore, because we do pan India, right? Anybody can come from anywhere and we help them. But there are two case studies that I would like to say. There is a company called Ameliorate, based out of Bangalore, big grantee, and also Sparsh, I think they've got. They developed a product, and which basically with one drop of blood, in less than a minute, they can measure whether you have a malaria, chikungunya, or dengue, which was normally a 72-hour process. And their biggest problem was, how do they get prototype out? In concept, it was there. Big grant had come. They were using that money. But the next challenge was clinical trial. Will they get money for clinical trial? Because that expense is close to 75 lakhs. And big grant is not, or BIRAC or anybody is not going to give that money. Where does money come from? So we took them through the same process called Boot Up, where we help them validate their idea from the user-centric point of view. Now, if you are from healthcare industry, you can imagine such a equipment. Who's going to use it? Any answers? Who's the end user of such a product? Now you're all wrong. When they went there, somebody said PHCs. Yeah, exactly. So when they went into the market, they interviewed 200 doctors, about 100 pathological labs. And after that, they came and realized that pathological labs really don't want that, because that's the competition to them. They take for 3 tests, and this guy is giving in 1 test and costs less than 200 rupees. Next, they went to the hospitals, and hospitals showed them, hey, we don't want it. Who's going to recommend this? They went to the physicians, and he said, how many you got? Because when the guy comes to me, he's looking to get, he needs to understand what has he got. So I take a drop of blood and I tell him, boss, you got chikungunya. Straight go for it. Otherwise, you first do malaria, then chikungunya, then dengue. Now, when they realized this, they were really shaken up themselves. So they came back, and then a mentor called Prabal Chakravarti. He was CEO for Boston Scientific. He's the mentor for them. He helped them devise a plan. And then we took them to investor and said, they need money. This is the scope of the work. This is the market availability. This is the revenue they can do. And before they did all that, their only way to sell was tenders. Now they suddenly realize that every physician wants to keep at least 200 of them in this thing. Imagine the market in Bangalore itself, where they had 800 odd physicians. So suddenly the money poured, and they came to the group, and 2 crores were given to them. They are going through the clinical trial right now, and we are raising a bridge round for them for another 2 crores because of the pandemic. The clinical trial got delayed, right? And rightly somebody said here, it cost lakhs of rupees. Then they did not get a hospital which could actually sponsor them. Those are the issues. But what I'm trying to say is, having a mentor along, he just opened doors for them. Which hospital do you want to go? This hospital. Okay, I'll talk to them. So the prototyping and all comes after you validated the commercial viability of the product. The prototype doesn't come before the commercial viability of the product. And then once you have a prototype, again the viability has to be done again, because that prototype has a different unit cost, different other cost related to it, put it into the market. So that will be, again, you will go back and again assess that. So that was just one case which told us that, and that was probably the first case where a startup got funded even for the clinical trial. And then there is another startup that we are currently, it's a physiotherapy startup, and this is done by a college student, 2 college students, one physiotherapy doctor and another is the engineer. And they developed this product which basically can help rehabilitation process faster. It can test the muscle strength. And 16 or 17 months, and they are ready with the prototype. Again, we did not do anything. A gentleman called Anil Iyer, who was the head of GSK business, he helped them walk through that process of creating a prototype, and they got funded for prototype. So, again, but they first did the validation commercial validation, whether the physiotherapy is needed, what is the market, and the innovation they did was amazing, because normally whatever is available is only available for hand. This is the strength in it. Now this can measure all the muscles in your body, the strength of each and every. So the rehabilitation, the value proposition is 20 times better than that. So I think money is available. The process you adopt is right. And I completely agree with what he said. There has to be a user-centric approach and commercial validation before you even go for a prototype.
Wonderful points. When you start a project, before the project, you have to go for the documentation, the plan, as Shishir mentioned, and also you have to identify the key stakeholders where you can actually help prototyping. And again, ecosystem, that what Ratnam sir mentioned, that we have to work together. We have to identify, okay, if I'm not having a full-fledged way of facilities, then you can go there, some kind of thing. And again, you rightly mentioned about validation or reiteration, and before to that you have to go understand who are the right customer. Many of the people actually think okay, diagnostic centers. I mean, this case I'm just telling, so, but again, you have to redefine your customer segments. So maybe I'll ask Shishir one more question actually, because medical devices or diagnostic, any other such tangible products, or maybe intangible even. For example, we have software-based SAMDs, for example. A lot of pathways to clear, and Shishir cracked some of the regulatory challenges in India. And Shishir, can you please tell one case of, your products, for example, the normal centrifuge that you developed along with Incumed, or maybe as a kind of advisory by the Incumed, whatever. So, kind of 3-4 steps that are the challenges that you faced so that you could able to achieve that. Can you please tell as a case study?
Yeah, I think that's the easiest one, because that doesn't need IVD certification yet, because we haven't gone for IVD or CE marking of centrifuge yet. But I think identification, what I said is the design itself, if you can identify which category or which class of products they fall into. In the planning itself, you can incorporate those line of activities, because right now guidelines are very clear. Even Amazon sells the MDR 2017 CDCSCO guidelines. It is not, earlier it was very difficult to even identify a guideline to find out what is guideline suitable for our product. So currently even you get book anywhere, and now earlier the expertise of QA lied in those who have information. So right now it is not so. Right now information is more on public domain, so you can understand whether it falls in class A, class B, class C or D. So which classes of, then based on that you can plan, and IS consultants do help, but majority should come from yourself, and you should understand the complete documentation. I think purely it all, because we are very poor in documentation, which I do get from every industry. We are very poor in documenting what we do. So if you document it in a logical traceability with all proper controls, then you can crack any CDCSCO, CDSCO regulatory clearances. That's not a big challenge these days. Objective is to identify which class of products you'd fall. And in that, I think one technique, apart from financial mentorship, you should also have technical mentorship. Without having a technical mentorship, finally you end up in saying that was, after a while, probably I would have done so and so. And because startups' vision is limited, so the mentors' visions are more deep in the markets. So they understand the viability of the product, and technically, if there is to be changed initially, that has to be changed initially itself, because once you make a product, then it becomes a big challenging task for you to, any change would attract your regulatory clearances. So identify those, and mentorship plays a crucial role. So that I think both technically and financially, irrespective of it, probably Another thing is probably association of industries with different industries. Definitely people like GSK, what he's talking about, that makes more sense. So they have many understanding, good understanding. I only apprehension startups do have is if you talk about the data, who owns the data? So that becomes a big challenge, because once you start sharing data and information to big companies, startups have no role. So that's a sort of apprehension any startup would have.
They don't want data. They want platforms that can help them get their own.
Okay.
They don't want data.
Okay. So, but many of them is the IP sharing, which actually worries more of the startups.
That's why we sit in the middle.
Yeah, I think that's very good point. And I think there are fairer now. You have multiple opportunities. Startups can grow much faster, but collaborating with each other makes more life easier. That's actually within your community itself, within your startups itself. If you can collaborate and work together, you can get the product out quickly. See, ultimately, what it counts is what you have. If you don't have a prototype with you and still claim that you do want to proceed further with validations and all that stuff, doesn't make sense. So until unless you collaborate and do work together, probably you can attract better grants as well.
Thank you, Shishir. Before we open questions, actually, Surya, you want to add anything in that line? The challenges may be different, or so.
Maybe about mentors. So you have to be very careful you pick the right mentors. Somebody who's already done it, right? If you look on YouTube, you'll find somebody posing next to a yacht saying, I went from 1 crore to 50 crores. You don't know the reality of the guy at all. You better pick people who have done it in respectable large companies, who have no hidden agendas, who do not are quite ethical, have a reputation for integrity. That is what very important, because there's a lot of people riding the startup wave in India without doing startups themselves. So be very careful there.
Welcome to Founder Talk Show. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. I'm at the AIDEA ICAR NAM campus, which is supported by NABARD for the Agri Udan 5.0 accelerator program. I have with me Shruti Rao, who is the founder of Conservation Lab, which is into agriculture space.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shetty.
So, tell me, tell me about the company. What do you do? What is it into? You're manufacturing certain agriculture machines, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, as you know, conservation labs. Conservation means contrive and innovate. Contrive is create something new and design. So we are travelers, go around, and then when we saw, like my other co-founder, my spouse also, we saw that Indian farmers have small land holding. They can't go for bigger machinery. So why not make something for them, and definitely for an agriculture ecosystem. So that's how the idea came.
And your machine, is it for any specific product? मतलब क्या आप किसी एक product के लिए बनाते हैं या सभी के लिए बनाते हैं? और अभी currently जो आपका machine वो क्या करता है?
तो हमारी जो कंपनी है वो अलग अलग प्रोडक्ट बनाएगी, लेकिन हमारा जो फर्स्ट प्रोडक्ट है उसको हम बोलते हैं कैली एक्सट्रैक्ट.
कैली एक्सट्रैक्ट, अच्छा.
तो कैली एक्सट्रैक्ट बेसिकली क्या है, ड्राई रेड चिली का इफ़ यू सी कैलिक्स एंड स्टेम है. तो कैलिक्स एंड स्टेम इज़ बेसिकली अडल्ट्रेंट टू द रेड चिली. उससे उसका कलर और उसको फंगल अटैक्स होने के चांसेस ज़्यादा हैं. तो इसका स्टोरेज शेल्फ लाइफ कम हो जाता है. तो फार्मर्स के पास उनके रखने के लिए टाइम कम होता है. सो व्हाट जनरली दे मैनुअल होता है, दे डू इट, रिमूव इट.
तो आप जो कह रहे हैं कि मैं आपका ये रेड चिली लेता हूँ, आप जो कह रहे हैं कि अभी जो करंट प्रैक्टिस है उसमें फार्मर जो लाल मिर्च है इसको अपने सूखी मिर्ची जो है इसको एक ऐसे ही पैक कर देते हैं, जिसकी वजह से कलर भी चेंज हो जाता है और फंगल अटैक होता है. और उसकी वजह से क्या होता है कि कॉस्ट भी कम हो जाता है, कलर चेंज हो गया, उनका
ग्रेडिंग कम हो जाता है.
ग्रेडिंग कम हो जाता है, पैसा कम मिलेगा उसके लिए.
एंड आप देखेंगे कि जब प्लास्टिक कवर में स्टोर करते हैं तो ये पोक करके बाहर निकल जाएगा ना, मॉइस्चर से भी खराब हो सकता है.
तो उससे भी खराब हो जाता है. एंड इसके अलावा मतलब आप कह रहे हैं शेल्फ लाइफ भी कम हो जाता है. तो आपका जो एक्सट्रैक्टर है वो बेसिकली ऑटोमेटिकली इन दोनों को अलग कर देगा, जिससे कि आप उसको बिना स्टेम के पैक कर सकते हो.
सो बेसिकली हमने एक मशीन बनाई है जो 36 चिलीज़ पर सेकेंड मतलब प्रोसेस कर सकता है। द रीज़न हमने ऐसा सोचा कि अगर एक छोटा फार्मर एक ट्रक लेके आता है 1 टन का 100 केजी, अगर हम उसको एक दिन में मतलब पर आवर अगर 100 केजी हम कर देते हैं तो वो अपना ट्रक शाम तक ले जा सकता है। तो जो हमारा मशीन है वो छोटे फार्मर्स के लिए हेल्पफुल इसलिए है क्योंकि हम जहाँ पे वो कोल्ड स्टोरेज या जहाँ पे हमारी रेड चिली स्टोर करते हैं हम वहाँ इंस्टॉल करेंगे, वो लोग अपना ट्रक लाएंगे, पे एंड यूज़ के हिसाब से कर सकते हैं, उनको ख़रीदने की ज़रूरत नहीं है।
तो मतलब आपका बिजनेस मॉडल में आप बेसिकली कोल्ड स्टोरेज के
B2C
पास
एंड B2B दोनों वाला
B2C एंड B2B
दोनों ऑप्शंस रखेंगे।
ओके, तो मतलब आप मशीन भी बेचोगे, साथ में जो छोटे फार्मर जो नहीं खरीद सकते उनके लिए इट इज दे कैन यूज पे एंड यूज।
करेक्ट।
सो अगेन वो बात आती है कि भैया मैं अगर 1 टन माल ला रहा हूँ तो कितना मुझे पे करना पड़ेगा अगर ये प्रोसेस करना पड़े?
मैनुअली अगर देखा जाए तो 25 से 30 रुपए कुछ ऐसा उनको आता है, तो हमने 70 पर केजी
ओके।
तो उसके हिसाब से हम अगर उनको 17-18 रुपये भी लेते हैं तो उनका काफ़ी पैसा बढ़ता है। अदर थिंग सबसे ज़्यादा है उनका टाइम बचता है। मैनुअल लेबर इज़ अ प्रॉब्लम। और जब वो सूखी मिर्ची को तोड़ते हैं निकालते हैं तो उसके फ्यूम्स वगैरह आते हैं, और इंसान मतलब ह्यूमन बिहेवियर में अब आप देखेंगे तो सब कुछ 100% अच्छा नहीं होगा। तो इससे क्या है, अगर एज यू नो इंडिया 1/3 ड्राई रेड चिलीज़ हमारा मतलब रेड चिलीज़ है हमारा प्रोडक्शन
1/3
यस ऑफ द टोटल वर्ल्ड यस एंड एक्सपोर्ट। इससे अगर फार्मर्स को स्टोरेज उनका ग्रेडिंग सॉर्टिंग भी हो जाएगा इससे, तो उनको एक्सपोर्ट में भी कर सकते हैं हेल्प, एंड उनका रेवेन्यू मॉडल बढ़ेगा।
तो ये जो मशीन आपका है चिली को जो एक्सट्रैक्ट करने के लिए, ये अभी किस स्टेज पे है? मतलब इज इट प्रोटोटाइप स्टेज या कमर्शियली रेडी है ये प्रोडक्ट?
प्री कमर्शलाइज्ड, another 4 to 5 months we will launch.
एंड what you need to do in this, ये जो अगले 3-4 महीने में जो आपने करना, क्या करना है इस मशीन पे?
तो हमारी मशीन रेडी है ऑलमोस्ट, इट्स लाइक अब टेस्टिंग स्टेज में आने वाली है। तो वंस वी फिनिश ऑल द लॉजिस्टिक्स वी विल पुट इट इन, जहाँ पे बेसिकली अभी कर्नाटक एंड आंध्रा हमारे बेस्ट, तेलंगाना, दीज आर द बेस्ट हमारी रेड चिली की मार्केट है, सीज़न भी है। तो हम जहाँ पे कोल्ड स्टोरेज जहाँ पे वो इकट्ठा करेंगे वी विल इंस्टॉल द मशीन एंड पहले वी विल आस्क देम कि आके देखें यूज़ करें, एंड देन विल सी आगे जो सेल वाला है तो डेफिनेटली इट विल हेल्प अस।
ट्रायल के दौरान आप लोगों ने क्या कोई फार्मर्स के साथ काम किया है, और अगर किया हो तो कैसा रेस्पॉन्स रहा उन लोगों का?
हमने फार्मर्स के साथ मशीन जब बनाने शुरू की थी तब काम किया था, तो दे वर वेरी मच इंटरेस्टेड कि अगर आप ऐसी कुछ मशीन बना देते हैं जहाँ पे सब कुछ एक बार डाला और पूरा हो लाइक सब कुछ प्रोसेस होके निकल जाएगा, तो उनके इजी है प्रोसेस, क्योंकि यहाँ से डाला पूरा सिंगल होके कट होके वहाँ पहुँचा, बैग किया और उन्होंने अपने हिसाब से पैक कर लिया, तो उससे आगे उनका टाइम कंज्यूमशन बचता है, रेवेन्यू मॉडल बढ़ता है, प्रोसेसिंग कॉस्ट वगैरह सब कट हो जाता है। तो हमने उनसे बात करी है, पर उनके साथ अभी मशीन बड़ी है तो वी कुडंट।
और जो बड़े फार्मर्स हैं जो खरीद सकते हैं, तो उनके लिए क्या कॉस्ट रहेगा, मतलब एज अ कॉस्ट क्या रहेगा?
अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 50 lakhs। सो थिंक ड्राई रेड चिलीज हम स्पाइसेस में यूज़ करते हैं, कलर्स के लिए भी यूज़ करते हैं ना।
जी।
तो जिनका कलर डाई में ये सब कंपनीज हैं, स्पाइस कंपनीज, हाँ, सो दे कैन मेक। और हमारा मॉडल स्मार्टफोन के थ्रू भी ऑपरेट हो सकता है बाद में, एनीबडी कैन डू। तो लाइक सब आपका मशीन है, आगे आप डिफरेंट कन्वेयर बेल्ट्स के थ्रू सेग्रीगेशन सॉर्टिंग वाला लगाना है, सो उसके साथ से भी आगे ऑप्शंस हैं।
तो श्रुति जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर बीइंग ऑन आवर शो, एंड वी विश यू ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट। और हम जब आपका पायलट लॉन्च होगा, कमर्शियल लॉन्च होगा, हम चाहेंगे आके उसको कवर भी करें।
So, starting with Srini, what was your first investment, and what are the technologies or innovation that you look into? I'll come to the team later, but from the overall business idea side, how did you decided to take that first portfolio of yours?
So for me, like I said, I am now kind of, but I'm not a traditional investor. I wasn't looking for returns alone. I was really looking to support. My idealistic vision of being an angel is literally giving money to people and helping them to succeed, hopefully. And so it was just the people. I really liked the people I gave money to. I liked the problem they were trying to solve. I didn't go much deeper than that at the time, honestly. So my first couple of investments were essentially, in my head, almost like grants.
So what was the first one that you remember? Because that's the first, first girlfriend, I guess. So what was the first one?
So the first one was actually, this is back in the US a long time ago. And in those days itself, it was what is now called EdTech, right?
Yeah.
The thesis was that obviously education is changing, and I strongly believe it needs to change. And so they were looking at a particular way of doing that using the internet. Of course, that was the thing in those days. Unfortunately, they couldn't scale it. I mean, there was an issue with that part. But yeah, it was an EdTech company.
Great.
Just to add to what Srini said.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Just to add to what Srini said, I agree. I think startup investing is really what I like to call nurture capital. So I like to mention this to all my new friends, a lot of whom are coming into angel investing in the last 2-3 years now. Many folks from corporates, many HNIs, others, But to your question, Anubhav, my first startup investment was a company called Zipper, Aditya Vucci. It was via Indian Angels. I was part of Indian Angels, so it was a sort of group investment of about, close to $1 million or so. What I really liked about Zipper, one was that the founder was from my school. He was my junior from HPS Begumpet, but that was just a small part of it. The actual problem which he was trying to solve and the way he pitched his story, it was that, when anybody is trying to sort of come to your home, whether it's a Uber coming early morning at 4:30 to pick you up, for a trip to the railway station or airport, he starts calling you like 1 hour prior because there was no easy way to pinpoint a location. So he was, embarking on a journey to solve that problem. He started B2C, but it had to be B2 government to C. So he went through a lot of ups and downs. Monetization was a little bit of an issue. I think Domino's and few other people signed up for some APIs and stuff like that. But he sort of, he's shut that company. It's been a few months now. But Zipper was my first investment. Yeah.
Great.
Sailesh,
startup investing is a very risky business, right? As they say, it's pray and pray. So you invest mostly in technology companies, you as in Anthill, mostly in technology companies. How much do you think a patient's capital is required in these companies before you see some tangible growth or some tangible movement?
Yeah, I think even at Anthill, we're not a typical investor. So we invest in the person, and what we call as the first check is more execution capital for them to go and execute the idea and then come back and see whether it works, what doesn't work, what are the learnings. And for us, it's always been investing in the person, because what we believe strongly is that an idea can always, go either way. It can always get stuck in the middle, but we strongly believe the team, the founders, can really find a path, can be resilient, can pivot and get you results. So I think that's where we invest in to get results. I think for us, we've never really seen it as, especially initially on. Now I think we're limited by SEBI because it's a closed-ended fund. We have to give money back to our investors. But early on, we have companies we've invested in around 10 years ago, we've still stayed on because we're never really ready for an exit, nor are we pushing the founders to essentially create results just for the sake of financial returns, but more from an impact perspective. Having said that, I think discipline is also important in founders to ensure that from a financial perspective, from a team perspective, and also from an overall holistic perspective. So we do educate founders from time and again to ensure that there is a certain timeline by which they need to push results. If not, they need to look beyond that.
Please. I think a large part of it, so I was speaking earlier from my personal investing standpoint, right? and I'm part of a company that we don't invest, we rarely, I should say, invest cash into startups, but we do invest our time and experience, especially the executive committee members who are all, they've all done amazing things. So I think one of the things is, whenever you are investing anything, first of all, it depends on stage. We're all talking early stage right now, but it's very different when you get to later stage investing, right? But at the early stage, I think, at least for us, when we put money into something, the first thing we do is sit down with the founder and say, where is this money going to take you? You have to have clear goals that with this amount of capital, you have X amount of runway. Here are the milestones you need to hit. And by the way, here are the hypotheses you need to either prove or disprove, because that's a large part of what you're trying to do at a startup, right? Having said that, we're also very, very aware that it is a startup, which means that they're working on unknown unknowns. And so things will crop up, and therefore we will be patient with them, even if they don't do that. As long as we're seeing them working closely, seeing them openly sharing, what's not working or whatever, you got to be patient, I would say.
Great. So all three of you have a different profile of as investor. You invest as a fund. You usually as an angel or part of a network. Sanjay, you also do that. And Sanjay comes from a finance background, a CA himself, and has been CFO for Sierra Atlantic for so long. What difference do you see in angel investing or a network investing than a fund? What is your opinion on that? Which one do you think is a more structured way of investment? Do you think founders take angels seriously, or they take funds more seriously with their reporting and other stuff, which Srini was talking? As long as we know what they are doing, we are okay even if they are failing.
Should I take that? Yeah. So Anubhav, actually angels, there is a food chain of investing, right? So you start with bootstrap, then you have friends, family, and fools, as they call it, right? FF and F. So early people in your circle who believe you. And the next stage is angels. And typically funds actually come after angels, okay? So of course today there are a bunch of angel networks like Indian Angels, Hyderabad Angels, Mumbai Angels, AHA Ventures, Venture Catalyst, etc. And then you of course have early stage funds. So we are seeing that in the ecosystem. Actually, even very large VCs are coming upstream to catch ventures early, because they don't want to wait till $1 billion valuation before they put in 100 million. They want to take 10 million at a 50 million valuation. So I think the lines are blurring. To your question about how it's different, to the audience here, I would like to say that you should try and find an approach which is a considered approach. So do your research, look at, there is no or, it is all and, right? So you could approach a bunch of angels. It could be via Thai, Indian Angel, Mumbai Angel, whatever. Approach them, try to do your research on what is the stage at which these networks or individuals are investing. Are there preferences for a particular industry? Frankly, there are now alumni networks where you could have a very low friction experience. If you are from, let's say, BITS Pilani, or you are from Xavier Institute, something, you are from Osmania University. Now there are alumni investment networks where you stand a much higher chance of getting a warm hearing, right? So I would say the dynamics are different. There is no hard rule which says that a fund is tougher to get on board, but a fund gives you an advantage of a more formal approach. There is more sort of housekeeping, there is more diligence, etc., which happens rather than an angel. But I'm always in favor of that, because the better you are prepared earlier, the smoother your journey is after. I worry that because startups have no sort of tangible entry barrier, a lot of us just jump in with a very romantic view that everybody is making money, everybody is taking an idea and spinning it into crores and crores of funding. I worry about that impression, and I think today's world is already sort of bringing a lot of that smoke down to reality. Yeah, I hope I answered.
Yeah. So, that was insightful. What I meant was from the point of view of startups reporting to you. Do you think, as an angel, it's tough to get all the compliances and all the information that you need? You have to run after the startup, whereas in the fund case, it's more.
Not really, Anubhav. I've always believed that it's about the investors setting and actually mentoring the startup founders. And in fact, it is our duty as an investor to help them. So one of the things I like to tell all my startup founders, even very early founders, is look for a quarterly investor update. Whether you have an update or not, right? Write 4 lines, because at the end of it, you can actually write and ask and say, the help I'm seeking from you is A, B, and C. But that structuring helps. So in my view, I don't think founders are trying to evade reporting or things like that. I feel investors, it's a duty, it's a role we should do to help them, hold their hand through that, get them in the hands of a good accountant or somebody early on, so that for themselves first and for us also, their housekeeping is in order.
Sure. Thank you. Srini, your first check, or even Sailesh, this question goes to both of you. You said you focus on the person. Even Sanjay sir was talking about investing in Aditya. So what I mean, what are the parameters that you have, or is it you look at a coachable founder or the attitude? What exactly are the early stage advice also it can be that you want to give to the founders when they are approaching networks or funds, that because I see a lot of people say that it is the team in which we invest. So do you have parameters like they should be from the Ivy Leagues, or does that actually matter? Because people say Zuckerberg was a dropout, but not from a local college here, right? He was dropout from Harvard or Oxford, whatever. But so, do you really think that these people are little above the curve when they approach? They have more structured approach, What do you think in the team?
So I think if I were to say that they don't have an unfair advantage, I'd probably be lying. It definitely if you really look at the statistics, it does look like they do have an advantage. Whether that's investor bias alone or if it's really genuinely that they're much better, I don't know. Personally, that's not a thing I focus on at all. I'm a strong believer in founders who, first of all, stuff about the business, right? Do they deeply understand the problem? The problem, not the solution, right? Do they really deeply understand it? Do they have a unique insight into that particular space? Have they done their homework? I look into the team for sure, the dynamics between those different people. When you look at intangible things like how, and these are harder to judge, but how tenacious are they? What's going to happen when shit hits the fan? For all startups, shit will hit the fan at some point, right? How are they going to handle that? Are they going to run, that kind of stuff? So for me, it is definitely about the team because, again, like startups are hard. You think you're going after a particular market, but you'll end up not going after that market eventually. You pivot slightly every single time. So for me, yeah, it's definitely the team.
Sailesh, any input on that?
I think Srini and I are in many ways cutting the same cloth because we try to help the founder reach their vision. And even at Angel, we've always been a strong believer in creating an ecosystem and providing tools, resources to founders to essentially reach their goals or visions and create an impact. To add to what Srini said, I think, problem solving skills is something we've always seen. We try to analyze within founders. As Srini said, it's always going to hit the fan for sure. It's at 9 out of 10 times, right? And then if it hasn't, it's just waiting for it to happen. So how do they maneuver in the situation? How do they pivot? How do they think about it? How do they resolve? And also, I think the experience that they've had growing up, right? Their personal stories are very important because those are the foundation. And I think academia is one aspect of it, but not everything. So there are many other factors we could look at, especially how they choose the team, how they pick an idea, how they let you grow that, and also whether the idea they picked is scalable in their minds or not. And I think that's one of the reasons why we always ask the founder, what is the potential exit for us as an investor? Not that we want to exit in year 3, year 5, year 7, but have they seen this path and have they seen it through, in at least in their minds?
Thanks. We did prepare a bunch of questions, but the flow of the event is going in a way that now I have to, all these questions are irrelevant. Yeah, pivot at the right time. So now coming to we remember we spoke Sanjay 4 years back, 4.5 years back. Where we were seeing this was you were also very much involved that time when Techstars came to Hyderabad and they were like, we are seeing startups going from 50 lakhs to 1 crore, 1 crore to 2 crore, and then stagnant for a couple of years. What do you think, or what is your understanding about these investments? Why do they? I mean, neither they are falling, neither they are going. They are just there. So, and after that, we did extensive research where we met bunch of T-Hub founders, we met investors. At that point, Prasad was also here 3-4 years back, I'm talking. And we had some findings. But I would like to hear from each one of you, what is your understanding? Why does that happen? Why at certain level, the growth is stagnant and it is not like neither they are falling, neither they are going, they're just there. And you? Right. Yeah, you start.
Yeah, so that's not an easy question. Basically, why do startups plateau, right? So now there can be multiple reasons which can happen. One of the things, again, from my own observation, have been that very often startup teams tend to start among friends. So there are 2 or 3 co-founders. They are often classmates. They are folks who have known each other or worked in a corporate with each other. But one of the points sometimes which is missed out is you need startup founders who are complementary to each other. In my own very personal way, I like to say that there are 3 sort of core pillars to any entrepreneurial venture, right? One is a go-to-market customer-facing pillar. And that pillar has to, like Srini very nicely said, you have to start with the problem and come back problem in, not solution out. So find a must-solve problem which is unaddressed, under-addressed, poorly addressed. A go-to-market pillar, operations and finance pillar, and a third is a technology pillar. Now startups need to use technology because it helps you to manage with frugal resources, much lesser resources than what a traditional company needs to create that sort of enterprise, to create that sort of boost to your revenue. So what I find, Anubhav, is that very often not having these complementary founders tends to become a choke point for the startup at that journey. So they probably have raised the initial 50 lakhs to 1 crore, which is a bootstrap. They managed to get another 4 crores of funding. But as Sailesh very nicely mentioned, the startup needs to understand and be able to model. You don't need to be a finance person to model business. You need to be able to model at each stage where you are, point A, and what is point B, and what will this funding take you? What is the definition of point B? It's like, the classic cliche thing is that you can't jump a cliff in 2 jumps, because in your first jump, if you have not reached the other side, you die, right? So what I've found to your question, Anubhav, is that a lot of startups may not have estimated what resource they need to get to the next stage where they can be investable. And I'm not necessarily saying everybody needs to depend on outside funding. There are enough bootstrap startups. But the point I'm saying is the critical mass needed, the thought process, the internal competence needed to estimate the resources required to get to the next stage results in a lack of critical mass, which results in you being stuck in a what they call the valley of death, that you have revenue, but it's not enough to be able to inspire the next level of resources. You're not able to get new talent to come in and join you. You're not alive, you're not dead. That's the problem.
Thanks, Srini. Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, all absolutely valid points. I think for me, a large part of it is beyond that, just what you need to do to get to what we call product market fit, right? So there are stages that you go through. And like I mentioned earlier, there are hypotheses that every startup starts with, thinking that I know this problem, I think I know that this set of actions will solve it and distribute it, and maybe they just didn't manage to build the right hypothesis and run out of capital. Sometimes they've estimated, but the hypothesis proved wrong, and it just didn't work. Is one, right? Or they just didn't have enough runway to get there. Is another big part of all of this. I think another one. I mean, essentially, product market fit is the biggest part of all of this for sure. And I've lost my train of thought. I was about to say something else. Now you pivot.
So I think at Answer, we always believe we have three kinds of skill sets. And I think Sanjay's put it quite crisply. And we always believe we have a visionary, a hacker, and a hustler to make it work. And most of the time, what we do is we kind of negotiate with another. And we as humans are the only people who can negotiate and convince ourselves that's true. No other being in this planet can do that. We do it really well. So sometimes we believe that 2 out of 3 is good enough to start with, and we'll find the other one along the way. So that's why I said, I think, for me, when a company hits a saturation point, it's either because, not necessarily all of them, but to be because of passion of the team, financial discipline or planning, and problem-solving skills, scalability, and also lack of raising enough capital. I think the last decade has seen the most number of bridge rounds ever happen in this world, and especially in the country. And I think that's not just because of poor planning, but also because of different factors which have led to tremendous growth or underestimating the external circumstances that you normally do. So it's a mix of all these factors which result in that. But as Sanjay put it well, in a very nice fashion, it is the value of depth. If you're not really scaling, you're not that.
Yes, all day I'm going to play now. No, one of the things I was just going to say was that the skills required to grow a startup from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and then 10 to 100 are not the same. And very often the founders that could get you to a certain point couldn't take you past that next level or grow you to that next stage. And that does happen. In some cases, you see that founders are swapped out. In other cases, it just doesn't work, and that's where they plateau. They're fine, but they'll never grow further than that.
So just a quick second, in a couple of seconds. Do you think they diversify too much when the checks start hitting the account? Like we should try this also, we should try this also, because that was one thing which we saw in our research work that we are doing back then. And Sanjay was also at that time involved and rightly pointed out it's a two-way tunnel. On one side you pick the market, the other side you pick the product. And until as you are meeting at a certain point, either you'll take too much to the product side or you'll take too much on the market side. Do you think, have you seen or experienced too much of diversification start happening when check starts hitting?
I mean, check starts hitting is one reason. There's a couple of reasons that can happen, right? And one is that they didn't get the right guidance and they're just trying to do too much. That's a very common one in immature startup companies, right? They just think I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. But even more, I even see that's easy to spot, right, and point out. But another one is just they haven't defined their, there are 3 questions normally asked. What problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? Why, right? The who you're solving it for is too broad. They're trying to do too many things. Like you can't address a market for everyone in one shot because you have limited time, money, and resources. And so that's a very, very common mistake. You really have to focus on who are your early adopters, who are the people that are your hair on fire people, as they call it, right? That focus needs to be there. That's missing quite often. So I think that's one reason for it for sure.
Any interesting passes that you people made went on big? I would.
All the time. I think that's
which one example if you have you passed and it became a huge. I know for Sanjay for sure. I guess. It was that popcorn company, right? Imla Foods you passed, right? Yeah. I have many more. Lots to it should start from there. Yeah, interesting. Yes, start from there.
No, that's a part of any investor's journey. I think there should never be, as they say, investor remorse. Right? There is no last bus, and I feel.
Sorry to interrupt. What from where I'm coming is like, what exactly was your reason to say no that time? Sure, it might be right and relevant at that time. They might have done those changes, and the next set of investors had no issue with it.
Sorry.
From that point.
Yeah. So I'll give you a slight variation and maybe two quick ones. I won't take much time. So way back, I met a young team. The founder was my neighbor actually. We have a small, 12 apartment building, and he was staying on the ground floor. I'm on the first floor. So he was ex-Brahmati, and they had built a very interesting platform, AI platform, where they were able to roll out very quick AI and data solutions for companies. Fascinating company. It was bootstrapped. So he came to me actually for advice, not even for money. He came to ask me, at what stage should he raise money. He was making some money on consulting revenue already. So I said, yeah, consulting mein paisa aa raha hai. Why do you want investor to come and ride on your head? So don't raise, wait for some time. So he didn't raise. And in less than 12 months from the point he had met me, Apple acquired him for $25 million. So the point is that if I had reached out to him to say, you know what, I can put in an initial 50 lakhs if you would like, he would have happily taken it actually. So I didn't do that. It was not really a pass, but I felt very happy for it. Second quick one, Unifor, which is now a multi-unicorn. So I was an investor in Unifor via Indian Angels, but I got out at the point about 3 years back where they were flipping to the US side. So the India entity was flipping towards US. I had a small investment. I got out with a decent X. But after I got out, it has gone up by another 20x or 30x. So life goes on. I feel happy for that.
Srini?
Yeah. No, unfortunately, I don't have any really exciting stories.
I think one worth mentioning, which was in the news recently, is Mobstack. It's Axel's portfolio company. They had come to us because Mobstack was coming up with some new hardware devices. And as a fund as not large as Sequoia, Axel, and whatnots, we were limited by capital. So we said we really can't invest in a hardware startup. And they were just pivoting and raising really large sums. So we said we wouldn't be able to participate. And now they've just they've gone into this, I think, they're going to go IPO in 2 years. So, but again, as I think all of us said, yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is the founder, Ravi, is being my neighbor growing up, so you know him personally as well. But I think the reason is more because of Ansel and the state which we invest. But I don't think we've ever had any remorse. And when you first asked about the companies, we missed out on the first talk with a number of companies, but my colleague was in the audience here, Yashwant, who probably has at least 30 companies he's shortlist for Ansel in invest, and all of them have raised at least 10, become multiples of 30x.
So my next question, the Head Start is for us is all about the community and the people around, and that's how we make our sessions very short and open to Q&A. Now, before I go to that, after seeing the support here, I got reminded when we used to discuss back in those days, we were thrown out of Lamakan because police came that 150 people with cars and bikes, but what are you people doing here? Some mob mobilization is going on. And that was the support which I see today also. It's been 15 years so far with Head Start, and amazing support. Thank you so much for turning out in big numbers. We will open the floor for questions for all of you. So one last question to all. During your journey in the portfolio, you time and again, as and when you get time, here it is like you'll have to keep a check. As an angel, you keep checks after 2-3 months. Sanjay sir might have more structured approach because so what do you see few red flags? You know, the portfolio is going in the right direction. I need to put my foot down and tell them not to do this.
when do you see what kind of red flags are very relevant that if they are doing this, they should not, which would be an advice to most of the founders here also. Starting from Sanjay.
The first thing I look for is regular communication. I think it's very important as a mentor. I try to share with the founders that good, bad, or ugly, your intent is good. As an investor, I'm coming in with my eyes open. I'm a high risk investor looking for high returns. So I understand that there can be business problems which can come. There can be uncertainty. A lot of things can go wrong. I mean, when COVID happened, a lot of startups on one side did really well, healthcare oriented, a lot of online, digital, service oriented. There were a lot of startups which were completely physical oriented, and they went through for no fault of theirs. So life can, serve you different sort of deals, right? But never stop communicating with your team, which means your employees and your investors, right? It's always good to be transparent, to be timely, to be clear, good, bad, or ugly. Don't throw a surprise. Don't go back to your investor only when your money is exhausted for more money. A surprise is always a problem, and you have lost their mind share by them. If you have kept them informed on a monthly basis, progress, bad things, challenges, asks. So, to answer your red flag question, Anubhav, I worry when a founder stops communicating, right? That would be my biggest worry. As an investor, I can live with everything. I mean, that's what we are in this business for. But communication, transparency, just being there, I think matters a lot.
Yeah. So to add to that, I think even if they communicate, I think it's doing what they say they'll do, right? So you have a call. They say they're going to do a few things over the next 3 months. Next call you have, they've done completely different things, right? That's obviously a red flag, right? Integrity, essentially, and it can be even the little things. To me, integrity is critical to a startup scaling, right? And so watching for things where they're cutting corners, those sort of issues for sure is another one. And I think I'm continuing my. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. There was one more.
I think Srini and they covered it very much alive. For us as a fund, quite structured and we also regulated by SEBI. So we ensure that we get quarterly updates. But as Srini mentioned, it's very important that is it authentic and is it how true is it to what they're reporting. And for that, what we always practice at Antel is to have 3 leading and lagging metrics we capture every quarter. And these are only numbers. So it doesn't take too much time for the founder to fill. And get a sense of are they, digressing, or are they been pivoting, or have the bank money in the bank been reducing, or have their clients been falling off as the success factor been coming down. So we have some metrics for each industry which we measure, and hence we put them in red, green, orange. Depending on that, we kind of spend more time with the founders.
Pretty similar. What?
The last one actually was back to something you said earlier, which is just founder issues. When you start hearing one founder complaining about somebody else or internal issues, that's obviously a huge
relationship not working.
And it's, by the way, it's one of the biggest things that kill a startup.
Yeah. So similar to what Sailesh was saying, we also follow in CI also, like you and Sanjay has been our mentors. Putting the startups in these flags. Red, green, yellow. Yellow means they should have been someplace, but they are still slow. Green means they are going as per the expectations that we had, that by this time they were angel or go VC. So pretty much similar, and I understand how that tracking works.
Welcome to the Founder Talk Show. I'm Major Sunil Shetty. I'm at the NAM AI Idea Center, where the Agri Udan 5.0 food and agribusiness accelerator is going to be launched. I have with me Mr. M. Venkat Rao, who is the founder of Inav AgriMech. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So, you're also a veteran, isn't it? A soldier who's turned into an entrepreneur.
Yes, sir. Yes, I've been in Indian Navy. I served Indian Navy since 1990 to 2015. Then I started working with the defense industry. Since last 2 years, I've been working on this project.
Okay, great. But that's commendable. So, tell us about Inav, AgriMech. What is it all about? What do you do?
This is basically coming to the basics of it. In our AgriMech, we started to develop compact mechanization for the farmers, small-scale farmers, small and medium-scale farmers. Since ages, we have been working on, we have been using bullocks to do the agriculture. But since last 70 years or something, like the big tractors has entered into the agriculture field. But if you see the size of the Indian land holding, it is around a hectare to 2 hectares, where doesn't require a huge tractors to do the agriculture. So that is where we started. We thought this concept is designed by my father in 1967 when he was in agriculture college. So we started using this. I started using his concept to develop the product for farmers, where you require hardly a 3 to 5 HP of energy is more than enough to do for a small and marginal farmers, where you can do all the activities. That is basically the concept has come out of bullock cart or something like that.
So it's also a multi-purpose vehicle, isn't it? I mean, you can do whatever you need to do at the farm, plowing, and also you can use it as for transporting small farm of crop produce.
Yes, basically it is a multi-purpose. If you look at the bullock cart and the nature of agriculture, what they have been doing in using bullocks. So a pair of bullock and a bullock cart, one plow, that is enough for a farmer. He starts, it was a rural community. He will travel from his residence to the field, and he'll use the bullock cart for commuting. And once he goes there, he unlashes that bullock cart and he puts a plow. He start doing intercultivation or cultivation activities or whatever it is, and he'll use it for carrying manure and put it to the plant to plant. And once he wanted to move his harvest to his residence, he'll use the same bullock cart. So that is the concept basically. Now with the tractor, that is missing. So you are using only the tractors for land preparation. Once the land preparation is done, then intercultivation activities have gone, because you are unable to do with the bigger tractors.
Yeah.
So there is something gap which has got vacuum got created in that particular area, where you require a small implement which looks like a bullock and which can travel through the narrow paths, and means like in the row within the narrow rows, and do intercultivation activities, which is possible only with the bullocks as of now. Though there are a lot of.
Let me just come back here. So basically, you have replaced the bullocks with a vehicle which does all that a bullock cart did, right? And also this is battery powered,
Yes,
which is even better, because now with the the rates that we know of diesel and petrol hitting, so the fuel cost, so battery powered makes much more sense. So tell us about how did you come about with the design, as to what did it help? Do you have a manufacturing facility? Can you talk about that a bit?
Yes. So we started working on this project in 2020. Once we started, we developed the first concept model, and then some farmers approached, some proactive farmers, they come forward and they said that we will do some trials, and they got excited. Once we started doing trials, we learned what else we require to add into it, what else the farmer is.
What modification you could do to it.
What modification we could do it to do.
And that too as per the requirement of the end user, which is the farmer here.
We took a lot of end user feedback on the first field model, proto model. And once we did that, and within the 6 months, we delivered the first field model.
And that was the first product that you sold also was for somebody very prominent.
No, that is the later one.
Okay.
So this was the first proto model. Once it is done, the first model was launched in a agriculture field, and that farmer got excited. He called media and he gave, he himself given an interview saying that this is what it is. It is going to help me a lot.
So your customer was promoting you basically, right?
Yes, basically.
So that's the strength of the product basically.
Yes, yes. And that was seen by then Vice President Venkaiah Naidu Saab, and he sent his team to identify who is this guy who is doing this. And then he gave us the opportunity to deliver one module to him. So one unit we have delivered to Vice President Saab also through one NGO. So he's...
You also, yesterday you were telling me that the people who buy your product, your vehicle, they are the ones